This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. When life gets hard, talking to someone can help. Whether it's venting, processing, or getting tools to deal with stress, visit betterhelp.com/allies to lighten the load.
Hello, welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'm Daniel Bloodworth, coming to you from Los Angeles, California. And this week we've got the man of the hour, Ben Moore.
Hello.
Michael Damiani.
What's up?
And it's Mitch Saltzman from IGN.
Hello.
Joining us for this special occasion. And in the control room, we have Isla Hink.
Hi.
As well as Don Casanova and Gabby Montoute.
Don's over there. Back there. Here's Don.
Friends, we're going to...
I didn't even know Don was here.
He's cutting a certain something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Some people have been waiting on. Friends, we're going to discuss some video game headlines this week, but for the most part, we're here to just give Ben a loving send-off, say nice things about Ben, and share some memories.
It's too late. You're stuck here.
But before we get started, we must answer for the mistakes we made in the last episode. Isla, begin corrections music, please.
Boop.
The story expansion for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 will be released by the end of 2023, not this year. I saw December, my eyes just kind of glazed over, and didn't see the year on that. It was like, oh, that's ways off. Damiani brought up Star Trek's gravity boots, saying they were in either Star Trek 4 or 5.
Please roll tape on 3 minutes later when I go, oh, sorry, it was Star Trek 6.
Ah, you caught it later.
I literally whispered it into the mic.
You whispered into the mic.
I wanted a timestamp reply to person, but nah, I'm going to say it on the podcast.
That's a correction parry right there.
Yeah.
Tink.
I love it.
ASMR
I said
correction
undiscovered
Perry.
country.
I don't know that people caught it because there were a couple of people that made that correction. Mm-hmm.
People got itchy correction
Yeah.
fingers, man.
Oh, yeah. This one was interesting. It seems that it's sort of a misconception. I'm curious what other language was put out there at the time. That the original Destiny was supposed to be a single, long-lasting live service game, and the sequel just kind of came out of nowhere because the original contract between Activision and Bungie actually specifies 4 Destiny titles with DLC in between, and they would be releasing every other year.
Do you think if they got to Destiny 4, the 4 would have been in the word Destiny?
Somehow that 4 would have been a Y?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe an E, I don't know.
And this is a fun one. Love getting into these stories. Isla stated that octopi is the more correct pluralization of octopus, which sparked a firestorm of comments with conflicting references and conclusions. However, according to Merriam-Webster, octopi is the oldest pluralization based on a Latin framework as it was adopted to English from New Latin. Octopodes stems from the fact that... Octopodes stems from the fact that the Latin originally borrowed octopus from Greek. Meanwhile, octopuses essentially comes from belief that the English word and English words should have an English pluralization, regardless of its origin. For the record, octopuses tends to be the most accepted, particularly in scientific circles. However, it's been debated for 140 years, so it's probably not going to be solved anytime soon.
I hope this is just the start of a recurring correction that every week we learn the next update on the octopuses versus octopi debate.
Perfect. I also prefer octopi. It just sounds better. So there we go. If you have a correction, leave it in the YouTube comments on either the public version or the patron version of this podcast. Use the word correction and put a timestamp in there so I can go back and see the conversation that you're correcting. End corrections music. Boop. Starting off, it's Ben's last podcast, so we've got to explain what that's about. I know you've given the rundown a couple of times, but there's some people that just follow this podcast, so don't see everything that we do. So what's happening, Ben? This is kind of sudden. We had plans.
Yeah.
We weren't expecting this.
I'm going to be a Gundam pilot. Yeah. Let's see. Like the Friday before the Monday that I told you guys, my wife found out that she got a new job, which will require her to move back to Iowa. And I will be joining her, of course, as her husband. But it's more than that. I mean, like, that's like the driving force. But, I think just I've been out here for almost 10 years, and she's been out here for 7 years, and we just have no family out here. And so I think we want to be close to home, kind of reconnect with family and prioritize that, and prioritize our own family. Like, we'd love to own a house, which is not feasible out here in the way that we would like it to be. And just kind of move on to the next stage in our life. It's conversations that we've been having for a while now, a few years, and it just kind of happened.
Yeah, and then kind of like go through like your experience through all of that, because you were an intern for a while. You were doing wiki cheats, which I don't know if a lot of people remember. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was an intern in 2011. It was 3 months out here. I actually had to take out a personal loan.
Oh, wow.
And then
because the internships weren't paid, right?
No, they were not paid. I didn't get paid a cent. So I had to take out a personal loan. My grandfather had to like co-sign the loan, and so it was a big step. I don't know if a risk is really the right word, but then after that, I freelanced for a while, and then like around 2012, maybe late 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. And then in 2013, that turned into a full-time job at Game Trailers. And so I moved out here. I had a terrible living situation at first. And then luckily, Damiani actually let me move in with him. And I lived with him for a number of years. And then the people probably know the rest of the story. Like Game Trailers eventually shut down, and then Easy Allies happened, and yada, yada, yada. Defy Media, all that stuff.
Yeah. And I should probably explain what Mitch is doing here. Because, Mitch, you worked with us when we were at Defy. You were over at Gamefront.
Yeah. I mean, worked. I wish I worked with you guys when I was with Defy.
Sort of. Were you even in the same building? Where were you exactly?
No. I was in the building that you guys eventually moved to, because you had 2 different offices, right?
Right.
So yeah, I was
the last building that we were like for a few months, and then that's when they decided to shut us down. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in that building, and then we had a situation where Gamefront went all remote, and that was kind of the writings on the wall, I think the first time I met Ben was it the Smite World Championships in Atlanta?
I don't remember exactly how we met. I just kind of remember. I remember we talked about Devil May Cry 3. Boy,
checks out.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's the thing with us, is we've just always had just kind of step very similar interests, and kind of a similar career progression, I would say. So, but yeah, was that the first time we met? Was the Smite World Championship?
I think the first time that I remember meeting you was at Smite World Championship.
What a weird thing.
I think you were there with I believe Omar, was it?
Could be.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Probably.
And it was just one of those things where like I think we kind of just clicked in terms of interest. I've always viewed Ben as like almost like a mirror version of myself that just kind of we split off and went different ways.
Yeah.
Talking to you, up to that point I hadn't like had conversations with someone who was like so knowledgeable about video games. And it was just like, it was I left that trip just, enriched. I think then we kept kind of running into each other. I think the next time we ran into each other was at like the Dark Souls 3 media event where we went to a castle.
Yeah.
That was sick.
It's funny that you bring up both these things, because
Forgot about that.
The idea of today, like traveling to Atlanta for a Smite Championship, is hilarious. And like that Dark Souls 3 event was insane.
Literally a castle we went
Yeah.
to demo Dark Souls 3, and like it was
And they had
one
like
of the
a-
coolest experiences of my life.
A roasted pig, and like
They had, like, sword fighting.
training. Yeah, it was crazy.
And then we played the game
Yeah.
for like an hour. But yeah, and then I think we just kind of, connected over our love for fighting games. And, when Game Trailers shut down, I think, I reached out to you because, like, I was in a very similar situation where Defy just kind of, dumped me.
Mm-hmm.
And, I remember, like, I think I invited you over to play Street Fighter with me one
Yep,
time.
I drove down to Burbank. Yep,
And
we streamed it. Actually.
Yeah, we streamed it. 500 people. I literally looked at it. I'm like, 500 people have watched this.
Nice.
We just kind of, connected through that, I think.
Yeah, the first and only time I went in person to Wednesday Night Fights was with you. It was
Yeah.
around that same period, in between Game Trailers and Easy Allies, where we took a trip up there, and that was fun too.
Yeah.
So.
And it was all just kind of like amazing for me because, you grow up in Los Angeles with aspirations for being in games media. It's very hard because, a lot of the big players are in San Francisco, and I'm like, I don't want to move to San Francisco. I actually had a similar situation to you where I went to San Francisco for IGN, didn't have any family or friends up there, and I was like, I want to go back to LA. And, I made that trip. And so I always looked at Game Trailers as like, the place that I wanted to be. And I was so stoked when we were under the same Defy umbrella because to me it was like, oh, I get to work with you guys, and I can't believe I'm here.
It's so funny because like San Francisco, I have such like amazing things to say about it, but probably the only reason for that is I get to go regularly, but I've never had to live there.
It's terrible,
right?
Ben.
So I imagine if I had to live there, I would have a completely different opinion on it.
If I told you the story of my commute to IGN every
Sure,
day, you
yeah.
would lose your mind.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
commute-
it's a whole different story than just like hopping in a cab.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When you don't have to drive, it's a different world for sure.
Yeah. But yeah. That's I think that's my history. With, with
and
all
Gamefront
this.
was the same time as right because they basically dumped everybody. Like they had.
It was probably
they
a couple
gutted
months.
escapist at that point too.
Yeah, it was probably a couple months apart. But I think it was on a kind of similar timeline for sure.
Yeah, it was such an interesting time at Game Trailers, like right around that time, because like for months on end, it was like, this is going to end. We know it's going to end. And just how that kind of influenced everything, I think in good ways and bad. I mean, it was something that like allowed you to maybe just go for broke in some ways, which was good. But on the other hand, it was just like, you're just kind of biding time until you know that it hits the gavel,
Yeah, very much like treading water sometimes.
Well, we got a lot of memories submitted here for Ben. I asked the community to share some favorite moments, so we've got some fun ones here to go through, and then we can share some of our own. But yeah, if you want to jump in at any point, if anything sounds funny to you, feel free. But first one submitted from Sheriff McDuck, which was also echoed by Greg Kettering, Matt Curran, and Jerry Young. My favorite Ben memory: the world will finally understand when Monster Hunter World was at Sony's E3.
It's funny because, like, I was just kidding, really. And, like, ironically, like, Monster Hunter World did become, this big kind of breakthrough moment for the series. So
It happened.
That's funny.
It was around, but it was not what it is today.
Yeah, it was not. It really is like a before and after for it. Sort of like Fire Emblem Awakening, I feel like, for Fire Emblem in the West. Yeah.
From Killer Squid Hugs, just want to say that Ben and Frame Trap were the reasons I discovered EZA in 2017, and I've been a patron ever since. So thank you, Ben, for being such an excellent video games journalist and reviewer. As for specific memories, screaming, "Pull my devil trigger" at E3, which was echoed by a few other people as well. The legendary Frame Trap with Max and Kyle, And so many of the weekly hunts come to mind. The one that made me laugh the most, though, was during the E3 Total Degeneration betting special. Ben bet that Doug Bowser was going to make a Bowser joke and rationalized by saying, I want everyone to Google search a picture of Doug Bowser. You know this man has had a Bowser joke ready to go for months.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Ben. You'll be sorely missed.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm glad somebody picked that one out. I stand by every word of that.
This one's more of a question. I don't know if you have an answer. From Perka Halama. The Ben that was. So much love for all your work on Easy Allies. I love how you articulate your thoughts on video games. However, I must ask you to tell us how the epic Noodles and Broth storyline would have ended up.
Oh, here's one. I'm a heavy procrastinator, and so like the way Noodles and Broth would happen is I'd be like, oh shit, I gotta figure out where I'm going with this storyline, like right at the last minute. And depending on the year, right, like I would have like a different goal, because it got to a point where I was like, okay, this is so convoluted, which is kind of funny, but I wanted people to be able to appreciate it. I didn't want it to get too far up its own ass, which it definitely did. I have no idea how it would have been. To be honest with you, I probably don't even remember where it's at right now.
Yeah, where did it leave off?
Yeah.
2 years ago, 3 years ago? Whenever that was. From Jesse Blue. My favorite Ben Moore moments are all the times he meticulously planned the D&D campaigns just to have Huber and the crew turn his plans on end with something absurd, and then getting a nat 20 upon rolling, like recruiting Kuo the Fishman. Mm-hmm. My favorite feature Ben worked on was the gen that was, and I'm glad if he had to shut down tabletop, we would get from him something that made it worth it. He has a passion for everything he does, and I'm sure he will take that passion into the next phase of his life. Good luck, Ben, and until next time. Got some more love from Jen that was, from a few more other people.
Just real quick on Huber in that moment, because like right at the start of tabletop, I put so much time into, or I should say so much effort trying to think of that world.
Yeah.
Right. And I really do want, whenever I'm DMing, I want players to be able to express themselves and get really into their characters, and I think that would be fun. And so like I'm not this like, oh, it has to be this and this and this. Like I want players to have a lot of autonomy over their characters. I think that's really important. And I remember Huber was making his character, and he's like, "Can I be a monk from China?" And I was like, I'm sorry, that's like the one thing you can't do is be from an actual country in this fantasy land. And I don't remember what he said to that, but I think like it wasn't a fight, you know, it was just like, no, you know, like you can't do that. And he was like, okay. And then the show started, and I think he was like, I am a monk from China. And so it was just like, yeah, it was so funny. It was so funny.
Mikey Mo has some more tabletop memories. EZA started when I was in the second year of university. Tabletop Escapades was such an awesome stress reliever, so much laughter over the years listening. Ben, you were an amazing storyteller. Some of my favorite memories was watching you navigate Huber's curveballs playing as Law and Pomper. By far the funniest thing was Law getting shot out of a catapult to his demise. I always had a blast listening to TTE. Good luck with everything, Ben.
Yeah, I remember the aftermath of that, and like people loved Law so much, and I think there was some anger that he died, but like reflecting back on that situation, it was like, I'm pretty sure multiple times I was like, Huber, are you sure you want to do this? Like, I definitely did not kill Law. But yeah, great moment for sure.
Yeah. From Jason Wojnar, my brother Zach met you, or at least saw you at E3, and he was surprised that you were actually quite tall.
I had that same impression the first time I saw Ben.
Yeah.
This makes Benzilla a more logical character.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know if Fast and Loose has gone live yet. but
It has.
Yeah, this morning.
okay, we talk about it a lot there. That's like the number one recurring comment I get is it's like, whoa, you're tall.
Yeah, everyone thinks he's so short, and he's definitely not.
Yeah.
Alexander Zarianov pulled a few different clips. I watched through and I picked one of these that humored me the most. And on an episode of the podcast, Kyle asked if Final Fantasy VII Remake's launch was an event. After which, Ben revealed that his copy had arrived early and he'd already been playing it. The panel was shocked that Ben didn't tell us, to which Ben replied, "Why would I tell you and not just play the game?"
It's funny because I don't remember this moment, but I agree with past me. Yeah. Why wouldn't I just play it? That must have been. Never mind. I was gonna say that must have been like me going to mom and pop LA game shops and like tracking down a copy.
I think it just arrived, like it got shipped early
Wow.
for some reason from the way it
Yeah,
sounded.
wow, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. From Camden, my favorite Ben moment is easily when he brought Final Fantasy IX to the Hall of Greats. His sheer passion and unwavering love for this game showed through, not just how he described it, but his body language as well. He had an affectionate stare off into the distance as he described the game, almost as if he was reliving all the moments he described in real time. At the moment, it was like no one else was in the room. While he may not have been able to get it into the Hall of Greats, that speech alone prompted me to immediately boot up my Switch and download not only Final Fantasy IX, but also 7 and 8 as well. Before this, I hated turn-based combat and would have never thought of giving it a chance. But Ben is basically the sole reason I became a new Final Fantasy fan, and I'm eagerly awaiting 16.
That's so awesome to hear. I mean, there's so many games I love, but like there were just certain things that hit me as a kid, and it's like if I could give anybody those emotions that I had growing up, you know, that made me so passionate about this, that's the only thing I want to do.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of similar stories from people about Persona, about Yakuza. There's so many things that you've really like turned people from just like knowing that something exists into like, I should play that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
From Mecha Doyle, Ben memory, except this isn't just a Ben memory, it's the top one Easy A moment. From Achieve Yourself,
Oh, I know what this
10
is.
Scoops
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Kindness. I don't want to spoil it. We can spoil it. But everyone should watch this episode through to the end to find an epic Ben Moore guest appearance. Shout out to Isla or whoever was running the side camera to capture Ben's reaction at the perfect time.
That was me, yeah.
Love and respect, Ben. Best of luck. Hopefully your future endeavors are much more successful than Brandon and Blood's attempt at this achievement.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't mean to like break the illusion on this because it is very funny, but like everybody for years was always like, "Oh man, like they lost all your money. Like, aren't you so salty?" It became like a running meme of the community. But it was like at that point, I had already finished Astral Chain.
Yeah.
And so like I was never even a little bit mad. You know, it was just a joke.
I guess I need to watch this because I must have
Yeah.
missed this moment.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Let's just say that we thought that we could go back to a save point, and we could not.
They were very bad at carrying ice cream, and it cost
It was
Oh,
hard.
man, I hate
It was
that part.
hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. From Louise Brown, this is a great one. My favorite Ben moment has to be Battletoads. When he shut off the stream, I laughed so long and I cried. So many great moments. So thanks to Ben and good luck in all you do in the future.
That might be one of mine as well because it
Yeah.
was just like raw emotion. I am an extremely competitive person, and I was upset. Like it was like you just have people watching you fail over and over and over
Yeah.
again, and then doing it. The relief that I felt.
Yeah, he had to get through the turbo tunnel. Just
Oh,
so you know what was
I already
happening.
knew
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
you even told me.
I feel like you see the relief on my face at the end of that clip. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he doesn't say anything. He just turns the stream off. It's
Was
just
this-
a hard cut
Was this a punishment or?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't even remember what
for
it
one of
was.
the betting specials
Yeah.
for something. Yeah. For Karen Little, I just wanted to call attention to how much I loved Ben's Suikoden streams. I was going through a pretty rough patch with my health at the time, and for long periods of time was essentially immobilized. So knowing I was able to throw on one of those streams and eat up a big chunk of hours with Ben playing two of my favorite games was a huge help to me and super appreciated. As a big fighting game fan, I've always loved Ben being on the panels to make sure the community was represented. And as always, Ben's writing was a joy in his reviews. All the best, Ben.
Something about those streams and like one of the best parts of streaming, I would say it's like 90-10 or 80-20 good, because sometimes people can go like overboard where they like, you know, backseat game or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would say for the most part, something that is awesome about streaming, especially streaming things that like aren't well represented on the platform, is you get people that are just like so thankful and appreciative and passionate. And I love seeing that come forward where, you know, they're like, and a recent example, like the Pokemon Nuzlocke streams were amazing. Probably some of my favorite streams just because I felt that passion. You know, people were just so invested and happy and celebrating something they enjoyed. So,
Yeah.
I looked up the Battletoads thing. The bet was, will Battletoads be announced at E3 2016?
Oh.
And it was not. It was announced in 2018. So Jones won and Ben had to do the Turbo Tunnel.
Got it.
I could see why I would bet that, though.
Speaking of Nuzlocke, that's Paul Ginsberg's pick. Though it is recent, the pure hubris of the early couple failed runs of the Pokemon Nuzlocke stand out for sure. Going from, we can take Misty, to having her Starmie outspeed Ben's slowly collapsing team should be a lesson for everyone to try grinding like only Brandon Jones can.
Yeah, that Water Pulse confusion. I don't know if it was the first Misty Death or I think it was the second run where I thought I prepared, and then just dealing with confusion is some of the truest despair I've ever felt while playing a Pokemon game, for sure. That I can remember anyway.
Yeah. From Level Capybara, my favorite Ben quote, and possibly my favorite EZA quote, is from a Nintendo Direct reaction stream in which Ben vigorously defended the honor of Musou spin-off games. Ben said, and I quote, "The Weebs have won. They have indeed, Ben.
Yeah.
They have indeed."
Yeah, it's this is not really relevant. I don't need to talk after every one of these, but like it's crazy to me because like my wife who deals with kids, she's like, you're uncool if you don't watch anime and play video games now. And that still warps my mind. I mean, it was such a far cry from my childhood where anime was like so limited and like so hard to get a hold of. And now you go to Barnes & Noble and it feels like half the store is manga, right? That's because of how well it's selling.
Yeah.
And so it is kind of crazy to see how big it's become.
Quick one from Matthew McArdle. Crisp, crack, clack.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
If you're not familiar with that, look that up. That's a sound you need to hear. And then Brandon K. Gann put together a very lengthy essay here.
Shout out to Brandon K. Gann.
Yeah.
I think like sent in a question for Frame Trap either every episode or almost every episode. So
Yeah. And this is about Frame Trap. Well, we must bid a heartfelt farewell to yet another ally as Mr. Moore goes home to Iowa. So to mark the occasion, I thought I would provide some Ben EZA facts based off both his reviews and Frame Trap. Without further ado, in all, Ben has reviewed 81 games under the Easy Allies banner. 2 of those hold max marks, Persona 5 with 5 stars, and Half-Life Alyx with a 10. He also holds the distinction of issuing the lowest numerical score of a 2, giving it to Fallout 76. His first review as an Easy Ally came with Dark Souls 3, and his most recent one is...
Was that my... Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was right when we started. Most recent one was Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. Some of the most notable games he reviewed for both good and ill, and not yet mentioned, are Mighty Number 9, No Man's Sky, Final Fantasy 15, Nier Automata, Sonic Mania, Wolfenstein 2, Monster Hunter World, of course. Dragon Quest 11. Mega Man 11. Mortal Kombat 11. Fire Emblem Three Houses. Death Stranding. That was a great one. It's a crazy thing to have to review
I really
before
liked
launch.
that review, yeah.
That was a hard review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cutting that was so much fun.
Doom Eternal. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Cyberpunk 2077, another hard one. Psychonauts 2. No More Heroes 3. Metroid Dread. Halo Infinite. And Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
It's funny, out of that list that you mentioned, I really like the Death Stranding review, but in terms of like just raw enjoyment out of that list, the Sonic Mania review is like one of the most fun, chillest games to review ever, because it just didn't take that long and it was just pure joy. Like there was no baggage with it. And actually the same thing with Metroid Dread, where
Yeah.
I feel like that came together pretty quickly and I was just enraptured by it. So yeah, those two, just in terms of like ease and fun and joy of gaming, those stick out. Funny thing about the Dark Souls 3 review, I didn't even realize that was the first one. At that point, I didn't get an early copy of Dark Souls 3, but it released, I think, in New Zealand earlier than North America.
I know this story.
And so I don't know if I made a different account or something, but somehow I got access to a New Zealand copy on Xbox One, and that's what I used to review Dark Souls 3.
We did the same thing at IGN.
Nice, okay.
That's amazing.
Okay.
As far as his brainchild Frame Trap, he helmed a total of 161 episodes, almost double the reviews. At episode 100, I wrote in a massive email about the facts of the show, so to truncate that down to major highlights, which I truncated further, to include the 61 that came after. The longest episode to date is episode 80, Heart Collector, at 3 hours and 56 minutes and 5 seconds. What's special about this episode is a special guest Maximilian Dude stopped by to talk about Mortal Kombat and the state of fighting games. The shortest Frame Trap that wasn't a Noodles and Broth is episode 13, an exciting time for RPGs with a runtime of only 50 minutes and 1 second.
Oh man, we had a Frame Trap was under an hour.
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. That's
Was there
weird.
a fire alarm?
Yeah, I mean that.
Oh, there were times where we had to like reshoot Frame Trap a couple here and there.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's one of those.
No, there was like the early days of Frame Trap. I mean, it was A, figuring out what is the show, and B, technical errors for one reason or another were definitely a lot more common.
There have been hundreds and hundreds of games discussed, and at my 100 email, I had tabulated to be at that point over 460. So now I feel safe in saying that surpassed 600, allowing for duplicates or revisits. And still, no game has been talked about more across various segments and allies than Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because that game, I mean, it just was like... It took forever to come out. It was very controversial when it did come out. There's a lot to discuss with Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah. And I'll end it here, but I have to sign off by saying that thank you, Mr. Moore, for providing your insight, critiques, and wit to everything you did in games journalism. I'll miss your reviews the most, as your writing is excellent in how it conveys not just the game you're discussing, but the act and art of writing itself. I wish you and your loved ones all the best, and I hope you'll guest or freelance back at EZA soon. Until next time, Hotake.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Yeah, Blood, I feel like you and I have talked about this privately, but like one of the biggest bummers to me is I just don't feel like writing is as valuable in this industry as it originally was.
Yeah.
Because that's my favorite thing. Right. And like when I got hired at Game Trailers, I thought like I was just going to write. And then very quickly it was like, no, you're going to be on camera. And that is certainly enjoyable. Like, and I'm not criticizing that, but I feel like it's more about on camera personalities and less about the quality of the writing. And that was always something that I was like, oh, shucks, not the direction that I loved, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's something I've definitely shared with you. I mean, I I was writing before I was really playing video games. You know, so like writing has always been like one of the core things, and so it's definitely been hard, like making all the adjustments over the years, but it's like it's still something like I want to hold on. Like we got to at least do reviews, if nothing else, because it's the one thing we still write.
Yeah.
We got away from writing previews because that just got awkward, and you know, it just became easier to do that as a discussion because of the circumstances always change with the preview. It's like, do we have footage? Can we show footage? Can we take our own capture? Are we going to get B-roll? We don't know. And so, like, when you don't know what you're going to get, trying to write about it, it's just a pain in the butt. So have to get on camera just to have something to put on the screen. But yeah, definitely have appreciated writing and your writing and editing and all that good stuff. But yeah, let's get some other people to talk in here. One of the biggest reasons I brought Mitch is because you guys both got to play Street Fighter 6 at Summer Game Fest.
Pretty incredible experience. I feel like we just sort of accidentally were hanging out with Street Fighter 6 for a weekend, right? Like we had no idea. I think that we'd be able to play as much as
we had to book
play.
everybody before we knew Street Fighter 6 was there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was sort of almost luck.
And I thought the unannounced game was going to be Resident Evil for sure. I didn't think it was going to be Street Fighter. I thought it would be too early for Street Fighter, but.
So I just wanted to give you guys a chance to like go off, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to the podcast last week. Damiani, you were talking about the modern controls, and I think you like really hit the nail on the head, just in terms of like your assessment with all that and how like, you know, it's about getting players to be able to play a fighting game without having to be overwhelmed with input commands and all that stuff. I actually got to play a couple of colleagues who, you know, don't play a lot of fighting games, and you know, I still won the matches, but they made it a competitive fight in a way that they wouldn't have been able to if they were just, you know, mashing heavy kick or whatever the whole time.
Yeah, to go off of that too, to even like further clarify from last week, I think the thing is like it's not about like even like being good. It's like I think a lot of players get frustrated when like they know the fundamentals of a fighting game, but they're held back by the execution. Like, oh, this person's gonna jump in on me. I need to do a Shoryuken motion on the controller. I'm just really bad at that, and so like I'm losing to you not because you have better technical skill, but like it was always about like the strategy. Like so many, it's a fighting game. It's so easy to understand, and so many people would like be able to get into it and enjoy it much better if they just remove that barrier. And the concerns about like, oh, well, what about like, you know, higher level players and stuff, as you said, like they're probably still going to beat out players like that. But it's about enjoyment. It's about players just having fun, because the intimidation and the skill ceiling was two of the biggest barriers, I feel like. It's probably like, I mean, among other reasons, a game like Smash Brothers does so well, because it's generally pretty simplistic too compared to most fighting game. It's like hit up and a B button, hit up and an attack button, like you smash stuff and like you do special attacks. Like, well, that's pretty easy to do. So this, going in that direction, I know it's not the first one, but having more of the higher profile games embrace this and pushing it is one of the biggest features. I think it's one of the best things Capcom has done, and it sets the game up to just be an even bigger success potentially than it's ever been before.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it's a choice, right? You can do the modern controls or you can do the classic controls. So if you're playing, you know, against another player, you know, I hope that in ranked play they still have that choice, but you know, you're able to, if you're going against another player who's playing classic controls, you don't have to deal with something like, you know, auto combos or other ways of bringing up the skill floor, if that's the right way to say it, to get people on like the same level. You're able to, you know, pick and choose like what kind of, or you're able to know what kind of fight you're getting into before you get into it.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I think the best thing, one of the other best things that come out of this is that even if like we're saying like 100 or 1,000 people start off by using modern controls, even if just one of them's like, hey, I really like this, but I want to take the training wheels off. I want to start trying to learn how to play this a little bit more advanced. It's that gateway. It's a nice gateway into bringing in more people, because the larger the pool of players is, the potentially the large pool of competitive players at maybe at a lower level, and just keeps trickling down the line there. And I think that could help, because stagnation is a big problem the fighting game community has had to deal with, like probably multiple times throughout the existence of fighting games where it's like we need newer competitive players to come in. It can't always be the same people playing.
Yeah, I agree with that in a lot of ways. I think the thing that kind of gets lost in this conversation is I think the floor and the ceiling will be fine. I'm just kind of worried about everything that's in between there, because I think for people that maybe aren't interested in really learning the ins and outs, like that's not their drive, I think this will enable them to have more fun with their friends and do things that they wouldn't get to do before, and may endear them to the genre in a way that they just weren't able to appreciate before. I totally think that is possible and cool, but I feel like some people maybe have this mental barrier where it's like, well, I just can't do these motions, or I just can't do these combos. And it's like, well, it's so much more complicated than that, where it's like the modern controls, yes, they remove the execution barrier for specials and supers, but it's like that's just level 1, right? Like even something really basic like linking light attacks in Street Fighter is really weird and unintuitive, because you don't just like mash the button and it automatically combos. It's like there's a certain timing that you have to do, and then like why does that timing work that way goes into like all of these things like recovery frames and all of that stuff. And so it's like you have that, right? And then it's like, well, in training mode maybe you could do a combo, but in a match when somebody's blocking, can you hit confirm, right? Can you do it? Are you able to, immediately turn something from, are you able to capitalize on opportunities essentially? And so it's like, while I definitely think it's good that it lets more people in, I also fundamentally believe for the people that really want to learn, and maybe that's not even that many people, I don't know, but for the people that really want to learn, you have to have resources where they can educate themselves and explain, this is why this works, this is why you want to do this. Because like execution is only one part of the pie.
And I really hope that they've kind of said that this is their goal, but I hope that the World Tour mode goes into that. I hope that they take their single player mode and use it as an onboarding mechanism in a way that other fighting games haven't really done yet.
Right.
And I talked to the director, and he seems like that's what he wants to do with that mode. And I think that really is the key to the puzzle of getting these newer fighting players to kind of understand why they're hitting a wall and why they're getting beat by people online, and getting over it, because it really is that simple. Really, you have to learn that you can't just mash the same combo against someone who's blocking, because they're gonna know that as soon as they see this move and they block it, they're gonna be able to punish you and do more damage to you than you're doing to them.
Yeah, and it's like, even if you could just teach people like, hey, punish unsafe special moves, or hey, learn how to anti-air. I think like even if you just do like those two basic things, like suddenly like you open up so many possibilities. Like sometimes I worry that like when you try to dissect a problem, right, you are like, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? Right? And you go into too many things, and it's just like, just teach them like anti-airing, like have that, and just be like, okay, we're not going to worry about anything else, but stop your opponent from jumping. See how that changes the flow of the match, right? And just that, don't be like, okay, this move is -4 on block. Like, don't start that way, right? I think it really comes down to how you present these things.
Yeah,
sure.
I really hope that that's what comes to pass, is that they have a way to teach players that really want to get into the competitive scene these types of things that are yet to be revealed, that might be through like the World Tour mode.
Sorry, I was just going to say. Go ahead. I was just going to say I'm really interested, because I couldn't even hear it at SGF. The commentary, the live commentary will.
It's super distracting.
Okay.
By the way.
Okay.
Yeah, but No, sorry. It's funny because we couldn't hear it. I posted a bunch of videos on IGN for the Street Fighter matches, and like literally all the comments are like, "This commentary is so annoying."
Oh no!
So I am not super hopeful.
Yikes.
But maybe they'll take feedback and tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, that was the thing. They were in the trailer. They were trying to advertise commentator VO might like hint or incline and just give you a hint about what you should do in a certain situation. But sounds like maybe not working out too well.
Yeah,
That might not be the best avenue to do it. Yeah.
I think if you really listen for it, you might be able to pick up on some things, but I think in the end, it's kind of background noise, and it's just kind of like, shut up.
That's the problem. Like that's too. It's like you need something that's like more like in a moment, like freeze frame, like just slow this down so people can understand it. Not you have all this other stuff going on and you have to focus on it, and you have this background voice as well. It's like that's gonna get drowned out, like, especially when you're a newer player trying to learn that. The thing I did want to say about the modern controls, the last thing I want to say that I think will be actually be helpful is because virtually everyone, except for I guess the charge moves will be a little different. Most the modern control specials will work across every character, so it'll make it easier for incentivize newer players to play as many characters because they're not as difficult to learn just the basics.
Yeah.
And learning matchups. So the more you play as a character and see their specials, you see this is how it feels, this is how it looks. Now when I play as this character, this might be able to counter it. Like they start to learn that dynamic.
Right.
I think that's one of the also basic stepping stones you need to understand. Then that leads into everything that both of you were talking about. Like, okay, now it's about the execution.
Right.
Take off those training wheels. So I do think it'll have a lot of value in that as well, as that more people will try out more characters, not just see a bunch of online Kens and Ryus. A Shoryuken all over the place.
You'll still see that.
yeah, you will.
It's like, it's almost like a law of the universe.
Dragon
that
Punch
you will
here,
get,
Dragon Punch there.
You will get online spamming
Wake up
Kens.
Shoryukens all over the place.
Damian, you actually bring up a really, really, really good point. Is I think having things transfer over from character to character is an underappreciated aspect because it's hard enough just to play one character, but something that's so essential to fighting games is matchup knowledge and just knowing what your opponent can do, right? Like, you can grind out one character all day, but if you get into a match and you're like, wait, I don't know what this character does, I don't know what's unsafe, I don't know where my opportunities are, you're going to have a bad time. And so, yeah, just from a, like, let me get a feel for this character, I do think that's something that people are not talking about that I've seen that could be hugely beneficial. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it comes to pass. I mean, just as you said, there'll probably be just like both said, online people still going with Ken and Ryu. Like, people are just gonna play who they think looks cool and stuff, and like, I mean, that's fine too. Like, as long as you look cool and flashy and they make it easier to do. I mean, this isn't the first one I did. I was the last podcast. I was even saying like Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I'm like terrible at those games, but when they added auto combos and like the simple like super stuff, I was like, yeah, I was able to like play and have fun and like enjoy it. But like, I was not really learning anything. So I think it is important that they, find a way to incentivize people to take those plunges into the different aspects that'll help you become like a more well-versed, well-rounded fighting game player.
Yeah, because, and I can't speak for everybody, but like, I feel like there's like a before and after with fighting games where like I think a lot of people aren't interested in fighting games just because they haven't had that opportunity to learn in a way that's like positive for them. And so like for tons and tons and tons of people, fighting games are just games where like maybe you figure out one move or you do like the bison slide over and over again, or you know, like in Tekken, you spam Eddie, right? I think for a lot of people, that's fighting games. But once you are like, oh, this is what a reversal is, or oh, this is like what footsies is and all this stuff. Like once you have the opportunity, I feel like you can just, and you don't have to be an expert. I don't even think you have to be good, but just when you can see things happen and being like, oh, that's what's going on. It's like you see the Matrix. You have like Keanu Reeves moment and you can see behind the screen. I think it just makes them so much more interesting than probably were before. And so like the more people that we can get to that, I just think they'd have more fun. Period, yeah.
And I think it's also important to say, like, even if you get good, you're still going to have those people that are above you, regardless of what level of play you're at.
Yeah.
You're going to have people that are going to be better than you.
A lot of people.
So it's not about like, getting to a point where like, oh, now I'm beating everyone. You'll never get to that point. So like, I think another key to enjoying fighting games is really just like, be okay with losing. Like, learn why you're losing. Take that information and see how you can avoid falling into those traps, and that's how you improve. You keep on improving step by step by step. And I hope that Street Fighter 6 is able to impart that message to people somehow. But yeah.
Well, what were you guys like? Because everybody was just learning the game at that point. Like, what were some of your biggest takeaways from what it's introducing?
My biggest takeaway is I love the drive system. The drive system is like such a cool idea. Basically, to describe it, it's a meter that governs pretty much all of your special abilities outside of like your unique special moves, and you get a full meter at the start of every round, and you're able to spend it as you want. So usually in fighting games, you have to build up this meter as you play around. But in this, you have all your options right at the start, which I think is super satisfying and leads to a lot of different options. Which ultimately, options are what make fighting games fun for me. But yeah, I don't know how you felt about it.
Yeah, I think with the drive system, something that's present is it. I think it allows you to, and this sounds like so corny, but I think it's true and important. Is it allows you to not only express yourself as a player, but then how that self-expression plays into the mind game of the match, right? Because the drive system has so many different things that you can do with it, right? Like you've got a parry, you've got a reversal, you've got a focus attack, basically. You've got EX moves that you can do with it. So you have all of these things that you can do with it, right? But as a player, you're not going to do all of these things equally. So do you lean on something too much? Do you do that focus attack, that drive impact too much? Does your opponent pick up on that? How do they counter that, right? And it's not like a per character thing. Every character has access to this. So it's kind of this universal tool that everybody has access to, where regardless of how you're playing, like that is a layer of the strategy that you're going to have to incorporate in, which I think is cool.
Yeah, and I just think, it combines a lot of the really cool mechanics from Street Fighter 3. It combines the focus attack from Street Fighter 4. There are elements of the V shift from Street Fighter 5. So it kind of, brings together all these like really good parts from all these fighting games and brings it into one universal mechanic. And I'm also super stoked that it's separate from the super meter, so you can do things like you can do an EX into a super move. It opens up a lot of doors that weren't really possible before in really exciting ways.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with that is it really seems to be built from the ground up to be fun to watch. And I know that sounds so simple, but it's so incredibly important, right? Like, I can't wait to watch that first Evo where it's like, holy shit, like that player is in burnout. What are they going to do, right? Where it's like, oh, they have so many of their tools taken away from them. What's going to happen? Or, oh my God, they're below 25% out health and they have their level 3 super. Are they going to be able to pull it off, right? And what's great about this is those are things that anyone can understand on some level. When you see those moments happen, even if you don't understand the mechanics of the game, you're going to understand, like, this is a big deal, right? And I think that's something that I always kind of appreciated about Tekken 7, right? Like, even if you have no idea what's going on, when, like, both players are at, like, a tiny fraction of their health and everything slows down, that's exciting, that's fun, you feel that. And I think that is really important, because from a casual perspective and in terms of like growing the audience, right? If it's just people going through their flow charts and the commentators saying fighting game jargon, that's not going to be exciting to anyone other than fighting game fans. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Of course, that's still awesome. But I think you want it to be something where it's like, you can just show up and understand why this is cool.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm too off the mark here with this, but I hope one of the good litmus tests will be mirror matches, because the system will make it so that they potentially can be interesting because of different players' play styles. It will come out more. I know at high level play there is that still in existence, but it seems like that comes out a little further into the lifespan of a new entry, and who knows what the meta will eventually become, where every like Ryu player does play the same way. But I think it'll be fun in the early goings to see like, is someone gonna like burn through, like they're like more of a rush on, I'm gonna use all of my drive stuff to go in hard on you, and we'll play. Some players like, I'm gonna be more of a turtle defensive. I'm gonna wait for you to burn your stuff and then counter with all my stuff as well. Like, I don't know. I in theory it sounds like that's what it's going for, and should be a good outcome for that.
I think it's also going to help that the game looks phenomenal.
Yes.
Like, oh my god, the RE engine in Street Fighter is just
engine carrying the industry on its back.
Oh my god, industry standard.
Yeah. And it's so dumb, but in a good way. But like being able to change the facial expressions before the match, right? Like, to me, that indicates that they have their finger on the pulse, in the sense that they're like, okay, they know that people are going to get goofy and done with this, and they're going to share it on social media. And it's like, again, even if you have no idea what you're doing, you're going to have fun making funny, dumb faces, taunting your opponent or just memeing or whatever it is. Like, that's something you can enjoy at any level, right? And it's such a small thing, but it indicates that they're sweating that stuff, right? And I think that that's so encouraging. I can't wait for Street Fighter 6 to come out and it'd be a colossal disappointment, and like all of this energy that we're saying is like completely wasted. But at least, right now it seems like they're on the ball.
Yeah, I can't wait for people in Evo matches to do Luke's Hadouken!
Yeah.
Hadouken!
Yeah.
Kind of taunt.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome to see.
Yeah, I agree with Max, though. Like, can it just not be... Can we get more stages than just training stage for 6 years, please?
Yeah, just take
More
out the
than just
training
the
stage.
grid,
Take it
please.
out.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be there. No one actually counts the boxes on the ground to judge spacing.
I don't know if I would say no one. But
No one. I'll say it. No, I don't.
Any burning things you want to get off your chest for Street Fighter before we move on?
Yeah. Fuck you, Capcom. You come out here and you're so awesome, and we have such a good time, and I get electrified. And then there's no beta. Where's the beta? I'm
Where's
just
the beta?
being a greedy little pig at this point, but that's what I want to get off my chest, is drop the beta and have it go for months. Just let people have a great time.
All right.
Ben played like 8 hours of Street
Yeah.
Fighter 6.
Yeah.
I want more.
That's right. That's exactly where I'm at.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Now, a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. It's important to take care of your mind. An example they give here that I think is nice is like, how well would you take care of your car if it was the only car you had for your entire life? That's your brain. We need to treat them that way. Personally, I've spent a long time thinking about my brain and how it works, and, been going to therapy to help me manage it and deal with certain revelations. And BetterHelp is actually something I did use for a while when my dad was in hospice, and it was very helpful to keep, maintain any amount of positivity, just talking to somebody. And it's like learning a language or taking power naps. You gotta just do it that was an example they gave too. I didn't just come up with that. But yeah, I used it, like I said, when my dad was in hospice, because I have a therapist in LA, but they aren't licensed or whatever. And so I have to, I was using BetterHelp while I was on the road for 6 months or whatever I was gone for. And it was just so much help, and it was frankly necessary. Everybody, I think, should be in therapy. It's great and wonderful. It's online therapy that offers video, phone, even live chat-only therapy sessions, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy. This is very true. You can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com betterhelp.com/allies. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/allies. Get 10% off your first month. betterhelp.com/allies. Check it out. Therapy is incredibly worth it. Please look into it. Today's episode is sponsored by Honey, the easy way to save when shopping on your iPhone or computer. I like online shopping a lot. I like shopping a lot. And online shopping is easier than in-person shopping, so I like it probably more. Probably a problem for me. Ben likes to spend money on video games. I just like to spend money. But Honey helps you save money because it helps you find promo codes. Like, I probably saved like 20% on this bra because of Honey. They, you don't have to manually search for codes anymore. It's this thing, you add it to your browser, and it searches for codes. It's sick. Honey is a free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best ones it finds to your cart. Imagine you're shopping on one of your favorite sites. When you check out, the Honey button appears, and all you have to do is click Apply Coupons. It's like magic. Wait a few seconds and Honey searches for coupons it can find for that site. Sometimes you can see it being like, you get 10% off. No, you get 18% off. No, 25% off. And then something goes weird with that one, and you're like, okay, we're back to 15. But then it'll be like 30. And it's very exciting. If Honey finds a working coupon, the prices will drop. You watch them drop. I use Honey all the time. It's really great. Like I say, bras, clothes, stuff, gadgets, sometimes surprising things that you don't think it'll have a code for. You're like, what? You have a code for this? All right. Honey doesn't just work on desktop, FYI. It works on your iPhone, too. Just activate it on Safari on your phone and save on the go. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this show, the Easy Allies podcast. Easy Allies. I'd never recommend something I don't use, but I do use this, and I recommend it heartily. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/allies. That's joinhoney.com/allies. Honey, HONEY.com/allies.
And if you are a patron of Easy Allies, thank you. Ben, you have been a voracious Dead by Daylight player.
I have. Yeah. I don't think people are aware how much time I put into that game. Or they are. I don't know.
And a while back, we found out about this Dead by Daylight dating game that's coming up. And it's called Hooked on You, a Dead by Daylight dating sim. And they recently put out an email with the dating profiles of some of the characters, some of the villains. And so I am
Killers, not villains.
Killers. Okay.
Killins.
They're heroes.
My mouth is not working very well today.
You're doing great. DGD.
But I'm going to read these dating profiles to you.
Okay.
I want you to tell me two things. A, I want you to tell me if you think this is a fair description of their character from what you know so far from playing the main game. And B, I want you to tell us which ally would be the best match for this killer.
Oh my God. This is wonderful. It's the best part of the show.
Do you want me to show you guys the art also?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'll have Don put it up in post as well.
Sorry, Gabby and I keep getting static shocks from the headphones. Like every time either of us moves, it's very weird. Or she wants to see the drawings. Okay,
Okay,
you
got it.
nearly killed both of us. All right.
All right, first off, the Trapper. Meet the Trapper. He's an apex alpha male and chiseled man mountain who enjoys killing in caves, beaches, and pools. Put in the work to find the trapdoor to his heart, and you'll quickly learn why he's worth snaring. Or mess up and become his latest victim. He'll have fun either way.
His ab muscles look like a white orb from Devil May Cry.
It's so funny because, like, he is an imposing character, but he's, like, not ripped like this in Dead by Daylight proper. Like, they're clearly exaggerating things. for sensual and comedic effect, which is great. But yeah, I when I think of the Trapper, I think of this like silent, heavy breathing, like sneak up behind you after you get caught in one of my traps type of characters. But this guy seems like he's more open about letting everything hang out, as you can see in the image.
Yeah, and if you're listening, he has a skin-tight swimsuit.
Bulge.
A skull mask, I suppose, and then just bloody hands.
Yeah.
And then a lot of scarring and like burn marks, I guess, going on there.
But I mean, like, obviously this is Huber's pick, right? Like, top to bottom. There's no one that this fits more than Huber, I would say.
Next up, the Huntress.
Huntress is my favorite killer of the game, actually.
Nice. The Huntress wants it all. Love, family, and someone to help her butcher men in the forest. Is she human? Beast? No idea. But her arms are out of this world. Now this lovable squirrel-eating lady is out of the woods and ready to let Cupid's hatchet fly in her new search for companionship. And listeners, we have a woman with very large muscles and a bunny mask with some blood on the front.
Are her ankles okay?
They are facing
she looks like she's
directions,
dancing. She
yeah.
looks like she's kind of like a Spanish kind of dress.
She looks like she's about to get Vecna'd.
So, I'm supposed to say which ally I think would date this character, right?
Yeah, or matchup. It could be some other form of companionship, I suppose.
Blood, I'm actually going to give Huntress to you because I think that your personalities would mesh well. I think Huntress is very focused and very passionate, and I think you would enjoy getting into the nitty-gritty with her. And what I mean by that is like talking about hatchet trajectories. I think you'd spend a lot of time talking about hatchet trajectories.
And how do you think this depiction compares?
This is completely different from every. Like, I think that's going to be this thing is it's like, and I think they're doing it purposely, right? Where it's like, this is completely different from everything I know about the Huntress. The Huntress does not smile, to my recollection. Huntress would never go like this. Like, Huntress is like, she hunts, right? And is very serious, very imposing. So this is like kind of the inverse of that. Although I like how buff they're making her here.
Yeah. The bunny mask reminds me of BioShock.
Sure. Yeah.
I had one of those on my desk for a while. They gave me like from one of the press events. I think BioShock 2. They gave me like a broken bunny mask foam thing.
I wonder what the inspiration behind the bunny mask is.
Next up, the Wraith. The Wraith is so much more than pure sex appeal. There's a quiet, inquisitive, sensitive boy underneath that sinewy man. Did that come out super weird? Yes, it did. Are we going to change it? No. Because the Wraith wouldn't. He'll embrace you, no matter how super weird you are, and that's what makes him special. Waiting for this art.
Sorry, I was getting
There
it
we
to
go.
the screen.
There it is.
God, this is amazing. Yeah. One, this art is incredible. That fit, right? Like, just the colors on the trunks and the shirt are amazing. And like, I have a soft spot for Wraith because Wraith is one of those killers that's like, at a high level, is not very good, right? Once you kind of figure out the game, the Wraith is not very imposing. Of course, unless you're going against a super, super, super skilled player. But I love the simplicity of Wraith's design because the way Wraith works for non-Dead by Daylight players is he goes invisible, but the way he goes invisible is he has to bong this bell. And it's so funny. Like, it's not even really scary because you'll be working on a gen or something and then you hear bonk, bonk, and you're like, oh, the Wraith is here. But something that I like about the Wraith is really a great killer to learn the game with because he's not that hard to play. And if you're going against players that don't really know what they're doing, the fact that you can turn invisible is actually very powerful. And so he kind of has a nice place in the game.
Yeah.
Again, everything about this is not how I would describe
Yeah.
the Wraith.
So is his skin that kind of camouflage
Yeah, so
pattern,
he
or-
has
yeah.
he has those markings, at least on his face. I don't think I've ever seen his
whole body. He's
His
just got
whole
like
body.
these brown
Yeah,
and white
no.
marks, and then
No, I think that's extremely accurate. Yeah.
kind of like a aloha kind of shirt and shorts. What's the word for that, for those shirts?
Hawaiian.
Hawaiian.
Well, I
You're
thought
close
for
with
some
the
reason I thought
aloha.
there was another word for it. I don't know. Sorry.
No,
With
it's
the orange and then green palm leaves, and then the shorts are kind of like stretchy shorts.
I feel like he's got strong JoJo's Bizarre Adventure energy. He's got like
Yeah.
a strong step
Yeah.
and little pose with like the wind, blowing up.
Yeah,
his-
he's tiptoeing.
his shirt. Yeah.
I can tell you Gabby seems interested.
Who's not interested really is the answer. I could definitely Gabby for sure. If that's what she wants. I could also see Brad really vibing with
Brad,
Oh,
yeah, Brad.
this energy.
Yeah, I see Brad. Yeah.
I could see everything about this is giving me Brad vibes.
And then the last one that they've got here, the Spirit. Now, the Spirit isn't your average goth girlfriend with a love for all things ghostly. She's a literal ghost. You can find her hanging in the shade with a stack of classic horror novels, avoiding whatever lame beach activities everyone else is into. She isn't competing for your heart. If she wanted it, she'd just cut it out with her katana. And we've got big hat, big hair, kind of a glow coming from the hair from behind her head.
Yeah.
And then, a kimono with what looks like a swimsuit underneath. And something going on with the legs there.
Yeah, she's
Some, like, stone, like, sharp pieces of stone or something along those lines.
So it's actually cool in the game. The sword that she attacks with, she like pulls it out of her arm,
Oh, okay.
which is pretty neat because you don't see it all the time, but then when she swings, it's there. This image basically represents everything that I'm into on a personal and emotional level. This is my vibe times 110%.
It's funny because I talked about how we were mirrors, and I
Yeah.
was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, there you go. And maybe I'm wrong. I could also see Isla being into the Spirit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, there's a gap in her leg.
Yeah, her
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and her arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually see the meat and the bone, listeners.
Yeah. But it's funny because this really like summarizes the whole thing. I don't like the Spirit in Dead by Daylight. I don't think she's fun to play at all. I think she's super fucking annoying to play against. Immediately as soon as I play the Dead by Daylight dating game, I am dating Spirit. And I like mechanically don't like her at all. That's just, but for sure she's the first pick.
Excellent. Ben, there are a lot more killers. A lot more killers.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing that's
Who do you want to
disappointing.
see? Well, I don't know if this is the end. Like, this might just be the
Right.
first set that's revealed. So
Yeah.
who do you want to see?
I hope there's a lot more. I'm surprised that the survivors aren't in there as well. Like, I thought maybe they do half and half. But, like, Trickster? Like, look up Trickster, Isla, and tell me, like, how is Trickster not in the Dead by Daylight dating game? It's just, like, absolutely bonkers to me. I mean, I think it would obviously be cool if they had crossover characters like Pyramid Head and Nemesis and Leatherface and Freddy and all that stuff, but I'm sure they can't do that. But other killers that would be really, really good. I think the Dredge, which was the most recent killer they added, would be funny. Yeah, but I don't understand how Trickster has not been announced. He looks like he's made for the Dead by Daylight dating game. Man, who else though would be really, really good? Clown would be funny. Like, I just want to see their anime interpretation of the clown.
Yeah.
For sure. Those are the ones that come to mind. I think just maybe for like a Western, like Southern hunky killer, Deathslinger would be funny as well. If you're not familiar with Deathslinger, he's basically like kind of a zombie cowboy.
Excellent. Thank you, Ben. That was fun.
That was fun. That was a good idea, Blood. Look at you.
All right, let's get to some actual news from this week. Nintendo Direct mini partner showcase. Bit of a mouthful there, but yeah, Nintendo finally had their summer direct. Not quite what we usually want out of a Nintendo summer direct, but they had some good third-party stuff there. I'll run through the full list in brief, but we'll focus more specifically on some of the bigger, or maybe not bigger titles, but ones that stood out to me. They started off with Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, which you've been playing quite a bit.
Balls deep in.
Yeah. We got a reveal of Nier Automata
On Switch.
On Switch.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think they should. I think that is awesome that it's coming to Switch. I think they should make a new Nier game.
Right. Yeah. Right. And then the first one I want to focus on is called Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. This is coming from the developers of Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Oh.
And it's a murder mystery. It kind of for whatever reason, I don't know why it reminds me of this, but it kind of gives me like those like kind of Silver Case vibes. The whole game is
Those are strange vibes.
yeah.
Yeah.
The whole game is kind of like black and white, but then with like pink highlights on things. So like a dog's collar will be pink, or like some other element will be pink in there. You're exploring like this old hotel. There's lots of puzzles. They had a lot of quick cuts in the trailer, so it was like really interesting to like just stop on a frame. It's like, oh, what is that thing? What is that thing? And then the description here they have from the email is, in Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, players linger in a surreal reality alongside a woman wandering a Baroque manor in search of answers to a macabre murder. Along the way, players will encounter a strange cast of characters, a ghost, an illusionist, a black dog, that lure them even deeper into the nightmarish, deceptive mystery. Become immersed in a dreamlike world, submerge in an ornate illusion, observe hidden patterns, and untangle the meaning behind puzzling, mind-bending enigmas. So yeah, interesting to see where that developer will go.
Yeah.
Because like Sayonara Wild Hearts is a very different direction. Also pink, but not much else I can say to put the two together.
I feel like the world kind of forgot about Sayonara Wild Hearts, which is a shame because it's such a like beautiful little experience, right? Like just a little tasty treat. And I don't know.
I was hoping they would make a Sonic game. You know, like there's a template for a Sonic game for you.
Yeah.
I want to see the developers of Neon White make a Sonic game.
That too. Yeah. Have you played Neon White yet?
I've not. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything about it seems right up my alley. I wonder if the Neon White team made a Sonic game, if they would lean into romantic elements.
I can ask Ben to do it.
It can happen.
I can ask him.
Is it that easy? Like you just ask him to do it and then he
Yeah,
he does
he'll
it?
just do whatever I say. That's not true.
They revealed Super Bomberman R2, which I don't know that looks any different than Super Bomberman. I know they had some other features they announced, but
create stuff.
Oh, yeah, you can
that
create
was like
some
the
levels, yeah.
Bomberman Maker things. But I mean, now you have a reason why they shut down ours. Like, it's like, there you go.
I feel like every move Konami makes is meant to confuse us. Like it seems like they get some sort of erotic satisfaction by doing the most out of left field thing. Like, hey, we're kind of not making video games anymore, but here is Super Bomberman R2. Like okay.
yeah.
They're still making money, so like they must be reveling in that. Like we do everything unpredictable that you don't want, and yet we're making money.
It's just
we
completely
feel good,
random.
even if you don't.
And then a couple of months ago, out of nowhere, oh, hey, by the way, here's a Castlevania Advance Collection.
Right.
Like,
right.
wait, what?
Right.
Konami's still around?
Speaking of collections, Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection.
Yeah, I have almost no experience with Mega Man Battle Network, which is why I'm so excited for this collection, because it's like, bam, put everything in like a convenient thing. It is befuddling and nonsensical that they announced this now and it's not coming out until 2023. What is going on? Why is that not like an August, September, or October release?
Yeah, the list of games on this, well, it gets bloated a little bit because they did the Pokemon thing after a couple entries.
Yeah.
So you get Mega Man Battle Network 2, 3 White and Blue, 4 Red Sun and Blue Moon. The names get longer as they go too. 5 Team Proto Man and Team Colonel, and then 6 Cybeast Gregar and Cybeast Falzar. So
How could you just not be Team Proto Man?
versus Team Colonel, which I guess has got to be a character unique to the Battle Network universe.
Well, are they talking about the Colonel from the X series?
But Proto Man wouldn't be an X series, would it?
No, but
Maybe.
maybe they're. I don't know.
I mean, the Mega Man Battle Network series is very much its own thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know people have been really, really looking forward to playing these games again. So, you know, I'm God, I feel like I played
That
the first
looks
one.
exactly like the Colonel. Well, not exactly, but is obviously based off of the Colonel from the X series.
Yeah, I looked up somebody called Kernel.exe.
That would be
I
it,
have
yeah,
no
I'm sure.
idea what I'm
Yeah.
even looking at.
No, that is clearly like the X4 Colonel. That's funny.
Interesting.
But yeah, I played the first one. Really, really liked it. Didn't get all the way through it. I was surprised at like how long it felt.
Right.
And then I was surprised at how many there were, all on the Game Boy Advance. So yeah, I'm looking forward to giving these a shot. More of a shot.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really put a lot of time into that series. I did play the GameCube game, which was weird because it was like spinning off back into traditional Mega Man, but then they made it super hard. So yeah, it's a crazy game.
Sometimes Mega Man is some of the most difficult video gaming you can experience. Yeah, just out of nowhere.
Ben, live chat wanted me to show you 0.exe.
Oh, cool.
They wanted to show me that and cause immense lust in my soul. Look at that. Look at how sick that is. I've never seen that in my life. So cool. I
Viewers
feel like
and listeners, you'll just have to Google it.
I feel like, I mean, I don't know, but I feel like Battle Network is something I could easily become obsessed with. So I think that's why I'm 2023? Really? Like
Right,
what?
Right.
Why?
Here's another one I haven't played, but looks actually pretty good. Pac-Man World Repack. They're remaking this game, and I actually own Pac-Man World too because I got it for the Pac-Man Versus, which is one of the the Game Boy, GameCube Versus game. But there's also controversy because they've replaced Miss Pac-Man with Pac-Mom. Have you heard about this?
Why?
They don't
Why?
have. I'm pretty sure they
There's
don't
this-
have the rights to.
There's this
to Miss
weird
Pac-Man.
licensing dispute now.
Oh.
So if you're not familiar with the story, hopefully I don't botch too much of it, but the short version kind of
I
is.
think I know.
Because I kind of went over some of this with my Miss Pac-Man Hall of Greats presentation. But so, like, Bandai Namco licensed Pac-Man to Midway, and then there's a North American team that created Miss Pac-Man.
Yep.
And that was a whole other separate game. It was not really...
Didn't like college students
Yes.
essentially mod Pac-Man, and that's what
Mod boards.
Yeah.
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 You know,
Yeah,
and
That's how
so,
they get around it.
but somehow in the midst of that, like all they did really was, put a bow on Pac-Man and create like little story scenes, but somehow that gave them rights to that character. And it seems like for the longest time that was fine because she'd shown up in other Pac-Man games. She'd shown up in Pac-Man World. And then somewhere in like the past 15, 20 years, those rights holders shifted around or whatever. And it's become a little bit more of like this legal battle to where Bandai Namco just kind of doesn't want to acknowledge Miss Pac-Man's existence. So she wasn't in the latest collection, even though it's one of the most iconic Pac-Man games. And now they're replacing her with some woman with a big sun hat.
Yeah, I think what happened was there was a standing agreement when they first did this whole rights thing with Midway and the developers of Miss Pac-Man that they would get royalties on every time Miss Pac-Man was in a game after that, or every time Miss Pac-Man had her own game or something. And at some point, they found out that Miss Pac-Man was in her own game, and they're like, "Hey, we have this deal here." And the people at Bandai Namco are like, "All the people who signed that are gone. We had no idea that this actually was a thing." And so I think they just from then on, decided that Miss Pac-Man was dead.
Yeah, it's weird. There was something too with like one of the home arcade games.
Yeah,
that caused a big kerfluffle. Yeah,
I'm looking into it too. 2019, a company called At Games which specializes in mini retro consoles and handhelds, released a Miss Pac-Man mini arcade cabinet, and Bandai Namco claimed it never gave permission. And then Bandai Namco sued At Games, who 1 week later did a deal with GCC, the company that owns the rights, to acquire the Miss Pac-Man royalties interest allegedly owed to it. So then, since then, Bandai Namco was like, no Miss Pac-Man ever.
Oh, so it's when At Games
Yeah,
got
I
involved
guess.
and took it from the original creators. It's crazy.
It's a wild story.
Yeah.
There's many YouTube videos about it.
And it's like, the people suffer.
This tweet is funny, where they're quoting Talking Heads. It says, "You may tell yourself, this is not my beautiful wife."
That's like one of my favorite songs of all
I
time.
love that song.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gabby and I were just talking about how it's like Oedipal, isn't? I mean, obviously they're just yellow circles, but ain't they fucking?
Well, wait, sorry, not that song. Although that is, I was thinking of a different song. But yes, that song is very good.
Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man?
But yes, they fucking.
They fucking, right?
They fucking.
Well, they have kids in that
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
They
They
do have
replaced the parent.
And how do you make kids, blood?
Womp Womp has a whole new connotation.
Waka waka.
Tend to the
Hey.
widow Pac-Man.
Yeah. It's supposed to be Puckman, and they
Right.
changed the name because
They
they thought they were going to write it. It happened anyway.
Those darn kids at the arcades
Yes,
and
they
their
had-
vandalism.
They had their way.
One of the coolest looking games is Blanc. I don't know if you got to look this up. It's,
Yeah, it looks
No.
good.
It's black and white, hand drawn. You play. It's a co-op game, so kind of like It Takes Two. Is like it's designed to be played with two people, whether it's local or online. And there is a wolf cub and a fawn, and basically this snowstorm has separated them from their families, and so you play together to get through the world and solve puzzles and all that. And so like the wolf cub is smaller, so it can kind of go through like tunnels and small spaces a little more easily, while the fawn can jump higher. They also showed there's an extended trailer later on that showed like the wolf cub could actually like jump on the fawn's back as like a platform. That way they showed some kind of like block puzzles and that sort of thing. It's being published by Gearbox, of all people, but it's actually the first title from Cassis Ludi, who have been doing game-related stuff and like presentations and kind of art exhibits and things like that since 2014. But this is their first actual like playable video game.
I have a feeling that the story of that game could end in a very sad way between
Right.
a wolf and a fawn.
Yeah. What happens when the fawn? Does the fawn get to the wolf cub's family first?
Right, right.
Which way was it, Fox and the Hound, or was it Bambi, or both?
Right.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if this quaint little black and white game just like ends with the wolf just eating this deer? It's just
I think
super
that's a
dark, there's
possibility.
red
Like
in
it
it.
goes red.
Yeah, it goes red. Also, they said online and local co-op, which
Yeah.
is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, local co-op. Shout out.
Woo!
Gives me some Journey vibes because they say there's no text.
Yeah.
Like everything is just visual and contextual.
And Journey, when you eat that guy, it's, pretty visceral.
Got a little update on Return to Monkey Island.
Sophia told me a sad thing that the guy who made it was blogging, and then everyone was harassing him that they didn't like the art, so he was just like, I'm not going to do updates.
Ron
Yeah.
Gilbert, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so sad.
Not a good day for developers and their fan bases.
Yeah.
Yep. There's been some weirdness out there. Then another big one, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope.
Shit, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Looks sick.
That, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, they showed off a couple of new things. They showed off free control for your character. So I imagine it's gonna use like was it Valkyria Chronicles that did like the turn-based thing where you can move freely and you had like a
It sure is.
yeah.
You had a meter that governed how far you could go.
Yeah,
think
it's,
it's
more of like a
probably gonna do something
radius
like
than a
that.
grid now, yeah.
This one's, it's like a radius.
But yeah, it looks sick. You can now like walk over bombs and like pick them up and toss them while you're still in your movement phase. The cool thing about Mario Rabbids just from like a turn-based strategy perspective. It's like how much you can do in your turn. You can like run into someone on your movement phase, do some damage. Then you get another character that does the same thing, and then after that you have your shooting phase where you can like put everything together and just clear out a bunch of enemies in one go. And it looks like they're just doubling down on that, and it looks awesome.
Yeah, I watched the Ubisoft presentation the day after. I don't know why they spaced those out by a day. It like felt
it wasn't super long either, right?
No, it was like what 8 minutes or something like that. It really should have just been like the same day, like right after. But it broke it down a little bit more in depth. Like the stuff you're doing outside of combat looks very, very engaging, very like cool to me. I mean, they had that stuff in the first one, but I think they're going a little bit further. A lot of puzzles, a lot of interactive elements. Everything doesn't look like corridors and like 90-degree angles anymore. It's
That's
like
cool.
very open and just looked way more just inviting, basically, than and didn't feel like less like a game board and more like a world is like the best way to put it, because the old maps felt very like that style. And then they talked about like the sparks themselves, like they add elemental effects to you, and so like you want to become like lightning, like do a chain lightning attack that like spreads or like freeze people, like that's going to be one of the big dynamics of it. And then they had a little bit of a spotlight with the composers, Budworth, Shinoff Yoko Shimomura, Gareth Coker, and Grant Kirkhope, getting to talk a little bit and just being, or at least being featured that they're going to be doing their music. And again, it was like I'm sorry I forget their name. The person who was presenting the game from Ubisoft,
David Soliani,
I believe so. The one who was like in the original presentation, who was like very happy, like when Miyamoto showed up. They thought they were going to show Miyamoto, but they actually had Takahashi showed up. Shinichi Takahashi showed up from Nintendo, just to kind of repeat what had just been said. It was like, we hope you enjoy it and stuff. It felt like it was like meant for a direct.
Funny that,
but I was like,
now you're saying like Nintendo showed up at this.
Yeah, I was like, was this meant for a direct and just like didn't do or something? But yeah, it sounds really good. Looks like it's coming together very nicely, and yeah, like story wise, like they showed like more of Bowser. The Blade character, the Blade Rabbit, who's like just can do like different stuff. It's like, okay, like are they a good guy? Are they a bad guy? Like, but they kind of said like this is the final cast there. So like Bowser's kind of like replacing DK, I guess, as like the big bruiser type. Yeah, and like their ship, like they're just traveling around the ship.
Mean
and
Bowser's gonna get a DLC?
Maybe. But, like, the premise is cool. It's like the worlds, because of their exploits in the first game, these worlds are now fused together. The worlds of Mario, the Mushroom Kingdom, and the Rabbids world, and now they're intertwined, and Cursa's kind of like this evil presence who's like now been thrust into this situation, is looking to like conquer and take over all of this. So, and Curse as someone pointed out, is like a cool name for a villain. It just looks kind of like cool. Like she takes over things with this like dark substance, and they become like these evil like this evil tentacle monster or whatever. They're kind of like menacing. And boss battles in the original Rabbids games are some of the highlights for that game. So I'm really curious to how those are going to play out in this one.
Is Rayman still part of the Rabbids universe?
Not really.
No,
They
there's no
sorta,
possibility of Rayman coming into this.
They split ways a while back.
Yeah. Don't think that's. I mean, I was asking that question the first game we had. So is Rayman going to be like a extra character, unlockable DLC, and then just seem content to just not go over?
I think it's like a Minions situation where the Rabbids were just like super popular with people, and my poor baby Rayman got swept aside.
Mario's voice.
Oh,
so Rabid Mario
I heard something about this.
And like, I think the running gag is like, is it Chris Pratt? Is this like a joke about it? Because it sounds different from Mario, and it's like he's also wielding dual laser like laser guns, kind of like Star-Lord. And I was like, what's going on here? Hitting a little close to home here, but. I mean, the comedy looks like it's gonna be there. I mean, if they have anything like that opera boss battle with like Kirkhope's like opera song parody he did there, like man, there's so many highlights in that first game. So definitely glad it's making out this year.
He should be the only rabbit that speaks full English, and it should be voiced by the guy who did Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy.
That would be good.
AJ does the voice match for Chris Pratt in some games, like Lego and
sure.
the Jurassic World Evolution 1 and 2. We could get him to do it. I'll ask him. He'll do it.
Also loved how Rosalina Rabbit is like this, like, don't want to do anything, don't want to be here. She got like a stitched like Luma next to her. She's like, okay, I'm gonna do this. So like, I don't know, like they do a really good job of the personalities, like the Rabbit personality being like this like opposite, you know, kind of like
Right.
antithesis of their human counterparts.
And then October 20th, I think it's a good date.
Yeah,
Yeah.
October. A lot of games coming
More
out
games
October.
coming out this year. Woo! Don't delay it, please.
October.
Yeah, I have this on my fantasy critic team. I hope it is good.
I think that's a good pick.
It was my third
Yeah.
pick.
That's
I thought
an
I was
easy
crazy.
pick.
Yeah, that's I
It's,
agree.
it's not gonna get messed up. I
Yeah.
really would have a hard time seeing that thing going below expectations. Little Noah, Scion of Paradise. I'm not sure if there's a shadow dropped or I just never heard of it before. But it was a cool looking little game. It's a side-scrolling action platformer. And then you have these kind of like this team of minions going along behind you called Lilliputs. Looks like you can have 5 at a time and that you can like find 40 of them. But I've seen some people that picked it up and have pretty good impressions of it. They've been enjoying playing it since the direct. I don't know if you had anything more to add to that.
I think I remember
yeah,
this one.
Yeah, looked nice and cool. There's a shadow drop. I mean, games that like kind of like grab at you, but more like so like they look like they're smaller scale. I think it's a smart idea to like that should be coming out pretty soon, not 2023. Like Mega Man.
Yeah.
Like what a perfect setup and whoops whiff.
Just for Dawn, Railgrade.
Yeah, I thought of Don immediately when I
This
saw that.
crazy like post-apocalyptic future train sim game.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I was like, this is an Island Don stream for sure. He's cutting the thing. I don't know if we're going to say what he's cutting, but he's cutting, so he's not listening right now.
Yeah, so you're basically just building railways to get materials delivered to industries in a timely manner. Sounds like there's like specific missions and all of that kind of thing, but it's just like it's very complex looking, some of the structures that they have going on in there, and then it's also like graphically looks pretty good. Like usually like train games are fairly simple looking, and this is pretty shiny and reflective.
Big old
Yeah.
Zeppelins.
Yeah. RPG Time: The Legend of Bright, which we won't really get into too much, but it looks cool.
Yeah.
I thought this was out already. Or maybe it's just coming to Switch. Because I played this at Indiecade like
Maybe.
4 years ago.
It could be one of those.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Sonic Frontiers, we gotta talk a little bit about. They finally showed Cyberworld,
Yeah, finally.
which is only a joke to the 3 of us in this room.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, I did the IGN first coverage for Sonic Frontiers. So I actually played this build back in mid-May. So like finally being able to talk about cyberspace, you know, in the face of like thousands of Sonic fans that have been, you know, hitting up my Twitter asking me about it. It's very liberating. But yes, cyberspace is a thing that exists. It's you know, I think essential second part of Sonic Frontiers that people need to know about, because it is this, you know, predominantly this open world or this open zone Sonic game, but then within the open zones are these like thrones basically that you can go to, and each of them is tied to its own traditional linear boost focused Sonic level, and they're pretty good. You know, I had a great time with them. I remember at SGF, after Ben finished his demo with it, he like came over to me. He was like, "Mitch, I get it."
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm glad that, you know, people got to get it. It was a very small bit of it. I actually played
Right.
4 of those levels in my demo. I think they only showed 2 of them. I have a video up where I go into a little more detail in the Q&A format. But yeah, you know, it's more than just the open world. It's still the Sonic that I think people love, and I think people are going to react very strongly to. The levels are a little short, but you know, I think that's by nature of the fact that they're not meant to shoulder the entire experience. But But yeah, I'm still excited for Sonic Frontiers. I think it's gonna be a pretty good game.
Yeah. Well, and probably replayable too, right? You get ranked at the end or anything?
Yeah. So the big thing about it is that in traditional Sonic format, you get a letter grade at the end of every run. But then there's also these 5 goals that are tied to a vault key. So you want to replay the levels, get all those vault keys because those vault keys are what unlock Chaos Emeralds. So there's like a really good flow to the gameplay formula of going through the open world, solving puzzles to unlock more of the map, using the expanded map to find the cyber world levels, playing the cyber world levels to unlock keys, and then going to find the Chaos Emeralds. What happens when you collect the 7 Chaos Emeralds? Who knows? Probably supersonic, but we no one's played that far yet.
Probably supersonic.
Yeah.
Ben, you have any thoughts to add since you got to play a little bit too?
No, I think Mitch did a good job, and he's seen more of it than I have. I just want to state how frustrating it is to not have that be part of the initial coverage, because I think it is really a core part of how they're designing this game, is that you have these 2 components that are interlinked. And so by not being able to talk about it immediately, I think people aren't getting like the best impression of what this game is in a way that's frustrating. And I don't know why they did it this way.
Yeah, when you guys told me that we couldn't talk about that until whenever, and I was like, isn't everyone super pissy at this game, and wouldn't this kind of alleviate that? Why are they holding this until no one will care later down the road? It was so odd.
You only get one chance to make a first impression.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, apparently they were holding it because it's in a Nintendo Direct.
Not worth it, bro.
Saw a little bit more of Disney Dreamlight Valley. Don't have much more to say there, but that game looks good. Live got a demo.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to download that.
Me too.
Yeah.
That game looks so sick.
Yeah.
Just a month away for that. Yeah. Doraemon's Story of Seasons. There's another one of those. I don't remember if they've come out in English before, but
They have,
Friends
yeah.
of the Great Kingdom.
Yeah, the Doraemon Story of Seasons has come out in English.
If you're not aware, it's basically a Harvest Moon game with Doraemon stuck in it. Minecraft Legends had a trailer, but then Dragon Quest Treasures, which
I still need to watch this trailer.
which we botched because we thought for some reason that it was some port of a mobile game, and I went back and watched it afterwards, and it's just something about the HUD that gives me that vibe.
What is this game?
It feels sort of like, and some people have said this as well, that it kind of playing off of the Dragon Quest Monsters template, and may have even originally started as that, and then they kind of reworked it into this. But yeah, so you kind of have the monsters as your companions, and then you're going around the world looking for treasures, and there's sort of radars pointing you in different directions. But you can use a slime you can use as a boost pad, a springboard. You can jump on the slime and it'll bounce you up a cliff.
That's great.
There's a Draki that you use as a glider, Breath of the Wild style, but it can flap to gain a little bit of altitude.
Oh, you're getting me excited.
And then you're just some of the bigger monsters, you just ride them as mounts.
Yeah.
All across the world and stuff.
Cool. That sounds extremely jolly.
Yeah. So definitely seems cool. I don't know exactly how you'll go about finding and collecting the monsters, or really what the goal is of the treasures. That's one of the things, again, that kind of struck me and turned me off for a bit, was just seeing this oh, you collected whatever Dragon Quest artifact, and there's this gigantic number of gold that it's worth in this screen. It's why do I care? Why do I care about getting this treasure? I'm not sure. But I think the actual core gameplay of going out and exploring the world and using the monsters seems cool, for sure. Real-time combat as well.
Oh.
Which worth noting.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, Builders also has real-time combat, and it's the worst part of the game for sure, so I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. December 9th, that one's coming out.
Oh.
There was a quick montage that had Fire Emblem Warriors, No Man's Sky, Plague Tale Requiem's getting a cloud version on Switch. Got our one cloud representative there. Captain Velvet Meteor, the Jump Plus Dimensions, which I don't know a lot about. I think that's in the montage as well. And then the Portal Companion Collection is on the way.
Yeah, it was out.
It's out. Oh, that's right.
They
That's the other
dropped
shadow
it.
drop, right?
Yeah, they dropped.
Yeah. And then the other big one is Harvestella, which did you get to watch the trailer for
I
that
have not.
one?
I have not watched it yet.
Yeah, if you can bring it up on screen because we're gonna put it
Yeah,
on
it looks
for
cool.
the
Yes,
the
that's
podcast.
this. I am color
This
me
is
intrigued.
like Square Enix's take on Rune Factory, Ben.
Yeah, that's what somebody said. I was like, yeah, okay, in. Or they said Rune Factory with a budget was an interesting
Factory,
way
yeah,
of
you know, I can
describing
see
it
that.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this isn't a game or a genre really that I have much experience in, but looking at this, definitely piqued my interest.
It very much feels like the Bravely or Octopath art style to me.
But yeah.
Or character design.
So yeah,
is
so
a
you've
better way of
got
saying it.
the growing crops and all that, and yeah, we got some
Vegetable
cooking.
muffin, my
we got
favorite.
a really interesting map that has
those
a
enemies.
blur effect. But yeah, and then then you get into combat.
The combat actually looks decent.
Yeah,
That's encouraging.
and this is another thing that I find interesting
Oh
is that you
my.
go to other towns, so you have like a
Look at the
larger
art.
world to explore for sure.
Well, this looks better than I was already interested, but this looks even better than I was expecting.
And then they have
my.
the different seasons, but then they have this thing called quietus that happens. It's like a meteor shower, which interrupts the cycle and threatening the crop, like all your crops wither, and it's like threatening all life. So like I don't quite understand how this plays in. So like I don't know if like you get like a quietus every once in a while, and then you've got to counteract it, and then you go back to your farm, or what. But it's an interesting take on that.
That's actually something that I really, really, really like about Rune Factory. The fact that it's not just town and farm management, that you have this whole adventure RPG to kind of mix things up, I think makes it more enjoyable. So this looks sick.
November
That
4th.
art is gorgeous.
Yeah, the art is really good. The key art.
Yes.
So as someone who's not familiar with Rune Factory, when you look at that, where do you think the farming aspect of it plays into? How does this come together as a game? Is my question.
Right. So, farming, right? Like, it all plays into the economy, right? So you need a way to make money, right? And then you use that for different things like upgrading buildings or whatever, right? Or like making farming ingredients to cook things to like put into a competition or to give someone as a gift. To help out a relationship. So that's how it can bleed over into the RPG side, right?
Okay.
Maybe you can crafting for healing or stamina recovery or any of that stuff. So that's how it can bleed into like when you go into a dungeon, like having resources or equipment or materials or that sort of thing. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and one of the things they're saying here too is kind of, the other side of that too is that you go out there, and you go into dungeons and you get materials that you use to build up your town.
Yeah.
So very
Sounds
cool.
awesome.
Yeah. And then they close it off with Persona 3, 4, and 5.
Imagine
Coming to
the
Switch.
impact of this announcement had Xbox.
I was
not
just going to say
already-
that very same thing.
not already done this.
Yeah. I mean, while this is good news, right? It feels like this should have happened
First,
like 3 years ago. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, when they announced that Joker would be in Smash.
yeah.
Yeah.
It like cool that it's happening, but it does feel pretty late in the game.
Yeah. I still, though, regardless of that, I think that might be the go-to platform for me,
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
unless they really blow it somehow, which could happen. It happens a lot with, porting games.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like the Switch would be an easy platform to grab that on.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be a big downgrade. I don't foresee it
No.
being a big downgrade. So
No.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, there's a PS3 version of Persona 5. So.
Yeah. Exactly. And the other games, were PS2 games. So
I am happy for Nintendo owners there is no way I am playing Persona 5 again. I only have so many hours to
Oh,
live.
yeah. No, I'm not playing Persona 5 again, but I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Well, A, I haven't played Royal, so maybe on the fence on that. But 3 and 4, I've never played. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Also this week, Skate put out a quick pre-alpha trailer.
It was very much. I don't know exactly what caused this, but the whole vibe of it was like, please leave us alone. We promise we're still working on the game.
But I kind of like admire that that stance from development to
for
be
sure.
okay
Yeah.
with showing something in such an early state.
Right.
It still looks cool from what they showed. Like the mocap looks amazing.
Yeah.
The way like the board hits the rail and like it transitions to different grinds.
Yeah,
it looks really promising.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. Like, animation and flow is like one of the most important things, and so no matter how it looks, right, you could still get a sense of how that animation is coming together.
Yeah, and they seem to show in some of those shots like a lot of people playing at the same time, so I don't know if there's like a bigger multiplayer element that they're working on there.
That's like a thing in Skate 3 where like your friends list will populate the world. So sort
Got
of like
it.
a Forza
Right.
Drivatar kind of thing. Yeah.
And then at the end, they're inviting people to come sign up
I
to
think
play and
anyway.
give feedback. When that will happen, I'm not
You
sure.
would see other people in Skate 3. I hope I'm remembering that correctly. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so they're just basically giving people a place to sign up for whenever betas or testing or whatever they do happens. There's a sign up page.
Give me the code for that. Even though I won't be here, give me the code.
And the good news is that if you're wrong about that, you don't have to answer for corrections.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Skate 3 is definitely like NPCs and stuff wandering around, but I feel like there is like a Drivatar kind of thing. I don't know. Let me know if live chat has any
Yeah, I'll
corrections.
check.
We didn't have a chance to dig into this today, but One Piece Odyssey released an 11-minute dev diary that really digs into the gameplay and combat systems and everything. So if you're curious, go check that out.
It looks like Dragon Quest meets One Piece, and I cannot wait.
It's kind of crazy how Dragon Quest 11-y it looks.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, well, the developer worked on Dragon Quest XI as well.
There
I
you
didn't
go.
even know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Support team. In the past week, Stadia has launched 50-plus new click-to-play trials. Some games from 30 minutes to 2 hours. You don't even need an account. So if you've been wondering about that Stadia and you don't want...
Is there anything super of note on that list?
There are definitely a lot of smaller games, but yeah, there's some bigger stuff too. I don't have it off the top of my head, but
Sure.
I think you could like jump in and play like the beginning of like Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed was what came to mind because I know they pushed Odyssey pretty hard at the beginning of
Yeah.
Stadia.
From Software has mentions that they are in the final stages of development of an unannounced title. And they're also recruiting people for the other games that they're working on.
An Elden Ring dating game.
Hey, I would play that.
Yeah, a lot of of course.
A lot
Elden
of
Ring
people,
is a dating game.
a lot of people banging that Armored Core drum. They're
Probably,
ready.
mean-
it's probably
Yeah.
Armored Core.
Yeah, I feel like every time there is a new From announcement that
This
that
time,
happens.
though.
Yeah, right.
It's Bloodborne 2, you guys. Come on.
Gotham Knights released another character trailer, this time for Robin. I didn't see anybody talk about it after.
Boy, Gotham Knights has had a rough go of it.
Yeah. But you
Hope
see
that
him,
game is good.
Yeah, you see him using gadgets, basically. Teleporting, creating decoys. He uses an extendable quarterstaff. Kind of bends a bit, too. Smurfs cart is on the way this winter.
What did you just say?
Smurfs cart.
Oh,
I'm-
cart. I thought you said guard.
and for that reason, I'm out.
Right. WWE 2K22 is adding Doink the Clown, Ronda Rousey, Mr. T, the British Bulldog,
Is it Ronda Rousey or Rousey?
It's Rousey.
Rousey,
Okay.
Dewdrop, I think.
Dewdrop, yep.
Yeah, and Rick Boogs or Boggs?
Rick Boogs.
Boogs, okay.
Yeah. That's how he says it when he comes
That's
out.
crazy. It's a crazy lineup.
Yeah.
It's a crazy mix-up of characters.
I I've been on the precipice of getting into wrestling for like years.
I
and
feel
so-
like every time I talk to Ben, he's like, I think I'm gonna get into
yeah,
wrestling.
it's pretty much been that state for like 4 years now. But now that I am leaving, maybe I'll have more
This
time.
time.
This time. Yeah, because I want it. Because you're super into it, like right. So I'd love to have that conversation with you.
Yeah. This is one I went on a rabbit hole on that nobody will care about. But anyways, Polish video games group 1C Entertainment announced today that it is changing its name to Fulcrum with a Q, signifying new plans for the future following its acquisition by Tencent in November 2021.
Tencent.
And so the reason that I went down this rabbit hole, right, is so I had met with 1C like various times over the years. They'd come to game trailers. They had us meet with them multiple times at Gamescom. But it's every time I had met them with them, it was like, these are Russian guys.
Yeah.
And for them to be described as a Polish developer, I was like, okay, what's happening here? What was even funnier is because of this name change, everything that I was trying to go to today, like the Twitter page was gone. The Steam page for the publisher was gone. Like everything had just basically changed when they announced it. Like, so, but what it seems like here.
Hold on a second, Blood.
Yeah.
I have this very vague memory of these guys coming in at game trailers to show us a game. It was like some playing game, like maybe it was a dogfighting game.
Il Sturmovik.
Okay.
Il2 Sturmovik, I think.
And I think they left us a bottle of vodka.
I have 2 bottles of Siberian vodka in my cupboard that I've never opened that are both from this publisher.
Okay.
They did like their version of like E3, their game showcase in San Francisco, the Russian consulate. Like you, so like yeah,
I didn't go to that one.
I went to that one. I
Okay.
went there and like, oh, you're on Russian soil. I'm like, oh, okay, funny, haha, I get it. But like, whatever. And like, so yeah, I'm kind of curious to hear the story, Blood.
So,
like, what?
So kind of okay. So here's where things go around. So basically, they had purchased a company called Senega Publishing that was based in the Czech Republic, and then that became 1C Entertainment. And that happened in 2005. They made that purchase. So since then, it seems like 1C Entertainment kind of took over the face of the company. And then last November is when Tencent began the acquisition, and that went through in February. And it looks like the original 1C still exists in Moscow. And so that to me seems to be like why like this name change had to happen, is because they had to like separate the original Russian 1C from the 1C Entertainment, which is now Fulcrum. But it's so bizarre to me because it seems like Fulcrum got like all of those rights, or other publishers got right, because like I think like Red Orchestra is like it's under Tripwire now. So it's all weird and it's crazy. And I think, and then part of this obviously is because nobody wants to do business with Russian companies right now. So just like separate us from that whole mess as quickly as we can, because I think 1C Entertainment even got like some sanctions put against it. So craziness. Blizzard announced they're planning to acquire Spellbreak developer, The Proletariat, and that was announced shortly after it was announced that Spellbreak will shut down in 2023. The 100-person team will now be working on WoW, which isn't too much of a surprise because they've already been working with Blizzard since May. And if you're not familiar with Spellbreak, that was a wizard-based battle royale. Yeah.
Huber and I played it once, yeah.
There's something very ironic to me about Blizzard Activision buying the Proletariat.
Yes. Yes.
And then Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin is getting its first expansion, Trials of the Dragon King.
First expansion.
On July 20th.
Warrior of Light key art, yeah. Hype.
It's time for Love and Respect. Love and respect.
I always wanted to do that.
Nice.
From Zach Wojnar. My mouth is not working. They just announced Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. I am mad.
Ooh,
I don't give a good gosh darn about Battle Network. I don't care about classic Mega Man. I don't spare a second thought for your precious Mega Man X.
What?
I don't even know what ZX is, but that has a collection. There's only one Mega Man I care about, and that's Mega Man Legends. Is anyone else as outraged as me that every other Mega Man series gets a collection before Legends? Bonus question, are there any other game series where you prefer a spin-off over the original?
I never played Mega Man Legends. I was an N64 boy and never went back to
Mega Man Legends is on 64.
Mega Man
Oh, is it?
64.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
guess
there's
I
Mega
never
Man
knew.
64, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, there's no one upset about Mega Man Legends. That was never a thing. The Mega Man Legends 3 controversy didn't happen. I mean, Mega Man Legends is 2 games, right? So it's not as expensive as some of the other ones, but as far as like things coming around, they keep.
There's also the trombone.
There's also there is
Yeah.
also trombone, right? But I'm saying like specifically Legends games. There's only 2 of them, not counting the Misadventures of Trombone. But before we had the Battle Network collection, there were a lot of people beating the drum of please do a Battle Network collection, please do a
Yeah.
Battle Network collection, and then that eventually happened. And for various reasons, having to do with licensing, getting Mega Man Legends 2 originally on the PlayStation Network was an uphill battle, but they eventually not only got Mega Man Legends 2 on there, they got Misadventures of Trombone. And so there is signs of hope, I think, for some sort of Legends collection, particularly now with PlayStation Plus and its more expansive catalog than in the past. And so, like, these things take a while. Again, doesn't make any sense that we have to wait until 2023 for the Battle Network collection. But I do think there is hope that maybe somewhere down the line, 2024, 2025, maybe even end of 2023, who knows, that you could see Legends return in some form or another. Maybe not necessarily a collection, but to have it appear. I think it's totally possible.
And for the second part of that question, I wouldn't say I prefer it to the main line, but I would love to see another Metal Gear Rising. I would love to see another Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks.
Yeah.
Those would be like the 2 that only got 1 spin-off and I think deserve more.
While I understand this email asker's frustration that there not being more Mega Man Legends, did he really have to go out of his way to shit on other great Mega Man series? Like, what the hell, dude?
But yeah, you're speaking my language there with Metal Gear Rising. That is the announcement I am waiting for. Is for that sequel to happen someday.
Not a totally serious answer either, but from our bonus, or not bonus, but from our stream on Tuesday, Puzzle Fighter.
And they seem weirdly content with just occasionally re-releasing Puzzle Fighter, but not doing a new one.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And what about Pocket Fighter, man?
Yeah.
Pocket Fighter was sick.
That was fun.
That was really fun.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
Yeah, there's the way that like the different cameos and stuff that would pop out when you use special moves. Yeah. From Faraz Rizvi, I'm surprised there's so little backlash for the direction of Final Fantasy 16. Final Fantasy is the premier JRPG franchise, and 16 is throwing all that away to become a character action game. Final Fantasy is my favorite series, and I didn't come for the DMC-style action. It's for the JRPG vibes of adventuring with your party. To me, it's like if Street Fighter 6 became a point-and-click adventure game. Why couldn't this departure have been a spin-off rather than changing the whole genre of the series? Do you think I'm being unfair, or is the series just not for me anymore? It just makes me sad. What I liked about Final Fantasy is eroding, even when Final Fantasy VII Remake nailed the party-based combat.
Wait, so this guy is the first person in the world that's gotten to play Final Fantasy 16?
I was about to say, one.
Like, how did you hook that up? You got to play it?
Hell yeah.
Like, you can go into detail about how everything that's in the game? Like, that's crazy. I don't want to know who you work for and how you got that access.
Sorry if I'm jumping to conclusions. I feel like they're conflating 2 different issues there. Real time, like the character action style combat, but then the end of that was lamenting like the party system. And because I was going to say, like, well, Final Fantasy 15 was also a real time combat game. It wasn't quite character action, but it also did that. There's also the Tales of series. There's also Star Ocean that is real time, like, not quite character action, but very action heavy. And there really haven't been JRPGs that have been trying to do what this game is doing. So to me, this is the argument against is that you have plenty of great JRPGs that have done turn-based, that have done all this stuff. And I understand you're upset that the next Final Fantasy is not doing turn-based or is not doing your traditional party-based system, but I mean, give it a chance before. It's okay to be disappointed right now based on what you're seeing, but like, don't write it off and like, don't give it a chance, like, to write off and not give it a chance before you even get a chance to like maybe play it if they put out a demo. Like, I don't know. There's I don't know the nicest way to say this, but like the pedigree behind this team almost like demands that I feel like you're kind of like crazy if you don't give this game a chance. Like it's so because if you love the other tenets of RPGs is like the storytelling and like the world building system, and they have knocked it out of the park with their efforts in the past. Creative Business Unit 3 with the 14 and the Heaven's Ward team specifically, which is working on this game, and you're gonna get that in spades. I feel very good saying that, and it's like they brought over Devil May Cry's battle system person, so like it's gonna be really good combat too. And they even said there will be AI party members who will step in, and you will have a party. It's just because it's character action, they don't want you focusing on so many different things. Like again, it's speculative, but like just wait till you play it, and it's like. I guess this is like when I get weirded out when people get like negative about something, or when I get negative about something. This is me now getting like, yeah, why are you being so negative about this? Because you haven't even gotten to play it yet. I don't know.
I don't mean to be rude, but I think it needs to be said. I feel like this person doesn't necessarily have a great grasp on Final Fantasy and why it's been so enduring and why it is a premier RPG franchise. It's specifically a premier RPG franchise because it relentlessly, completely changes its formula over the decades. As RPGs grow, so does Final Fantasy. That has been consistently true from its very inception all the way to today. So it changing is actually the most Final Fantasy thing it can do. That's a fact. That is just what Final Fantasy has done pretty much from the inception. Even if you look at Final Fantasy 1 to Final Fantasy 2, those are dramatically different games. And like, it's so funny because I feel like each time with Final Fantasy, there's kind of this cycle where like it changes. People go, "Oh my God, why did it change? Why is this so bad?"
12.
And then eventually it gets appreciated, right? And so like not everything is going to be for you, and I understand that, but what Final Fantasy is doing is not like some sort of sacrilege to its name, particularly when we haven't gotten a chance to play it. Now, it may come out and it may suck. That may totally be true, but I don't think there's any reason to be so dismissive or judgmental before we've actually gotten a chance to play it.
I mean, yeah, best point. Like the cycle. There's like not everything. It's not every Final Fantasy game was for everybody, but there always will be another one. And in fact, you're probably while they don't come out as frequently, you're still getting a lot right now. You have 16, and if this is not your cup of tea, just like based on it, the consolation I can offer you is that Rebirth is on the horizon too, like right shortly after that, and that's going to be more of the same of remake. So if you like that type of battle system, that type of party system, you are getting that. And if not, there will be a Final Fantasy 17 at some point. Like you could probably count on that, and like who knows what they might do with that. And it's
just ironic, like the peak of irony that they reference Final Fantasy VII Remake in their own email, because this exact type of cynicism was present with the Final Fantasy VII Remake combat as well, where people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're changing it! Like this is so ridiculous. How could you ever do this?" And then this person in the email who is doing the very same thing is saying, "Wow, they really nailed it with Final Fantasy VII Remake." It's just like, come on.
I also think that, weirdly enough, Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat is very character action-y.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's elements for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I can understand, like, you know, growing up loving a franchise, and you know, Final Fantasy has been moving towards this like action-oriented combat system for quite a while now. But you know, you can always get on the Dragon Quest chain, which is, you know, a series kind of that's defined, whereas Final Fantasy is defined as like, you know, substantial evolutions in the formula that kind of eventually veer in a different way. You know, Dragon Quest kind of keeps very similar with each iteration. So maybe play a Dragon Quest game or something.
Blowers, I have a question. Does the email use the phrase turn-based combat?
Maybe I misinterpreted it.
They just called out character action or whatever. They described 16's combat system.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
Okay.
So you read between the lines with that they probably mean not that, which is some form of turn-based or hybrid. That's what Tales of is. It's like other characters are just doing random actions set by AI. I mean, you do button inputs, but it works on MP and all that systems. But I don't know, just the. Yes, it's character action, but the fantasy element and the job system, hints of job system are still present here. And I think, to me, when you talk about Final Fantasy, one of the things that comes to mind is job systems and how you are going to be able to change jobs or how different characters' jobs will work. And the icon stances, whatever they're going to end up being called, that you change between, and your moveset changes about that. And there seems to be some kind of flow and rhythm to that. I mean, it seems like it's going to still embrace those kind of tropes and themes, even though it's going to be real time. And I have to imagine that it probably hasn't been revealed yet. There's probably the normal version of this, and there's probably a half-step measure.
Right.
Kind of what 15 did, where they added, it was either in the original version, they added it later, the pseudo turn-based or whatever.
Right.
Where player,
7 has that too.
7 has it
Seven
too.
has it
Yeah.
too. They
That's
have
what I was
been,
gonna
I
say.
imagine there'll be some kind of slow down mode where it's all right, the enemy will wait for you to wind up and do your thing before they start trying to block or something, just to get you acclimated to it. I know that's not exactly what it is, but I don't think they're gonna throw you right into the deep end with this game and just be there you go, you coming off the last few games.
I also think it's I'd bewildered right now because while again this game could be a total mess, I'm very open to that possibility. Right? You look at Final Fantasy 14, which by the fact of it being an MMO is very not traditional Final Fantasy, but perhaps has a better understanding of what makes Final Fantasy special than any Final Fantasy game in a long time. And with Yoshi P also being behind 16, I very much think this game at least deserves a chance. All this doom and gloom is it's so frustrating when it's completely out of hand, right? And it's Mitch, you went through this with Sonic Frontier, right? Where and I even felt this way, where it's oh, this game doesn't look great, but when you play it, you have this whole new appreciation for it. Just calm down.
And then to close it, they said, also for Ben, thank you for Tabletop Adventures. I always like game trailers, but Tabletop is a show that made me fall in love with GT and EZA. There's still moments from that series which I'll remember more than any movie or TV show.
Well, now I feel bad for going so hard.
I was I was waiting for Blood to read the second half, and then I was we're reaming this guy. Oh, so good.
Let's play a game. From Joseph Caruso.
Mitch is what the hell?
I'm just doing what he's
You got a
doing.
warning. You got a warning. Relatively old or relatively new. A few months ago, I submitted a game about our relative perception of time on game releases. It was a bit confusing, but the panel and viewers seemed to enjoy it, so this time I'm going to try to simplify things. The goal of this game is for us to recognize the phenomenon of time moving faster as we age. For example, it may sound reasonable that it's been almost 15 years since Mario Galaxy released, but it might feel uncomfortable when you realize that Mario 64 was only about 11 years old when Mario Galaxy released. So I'm going to mention 2 games at a time, and it's the panel's job to guess which time gap is bigger. The time between now
I feel like I've
and the
done
more...
this game on
yeah, so this is...
Yeah,
you
we
were there
did.
last time.
It had weird, confusing terms before.
Yeah. So it's basically just identify the gap between the time now and the more recent release, or the time gap between the 2 games. And then these are going by North American release dates on their original platforms and only going by the year, so you don't have to worry about months or anything like that. Rock Band 4 and Rock Band 1.
It's been a long time since Rock Band 4.
We're guessing the amount of time between Rock Band 4 and Rock Band 1?
Which gap is longer?
Has it been
The
long
time
since-
between Rock Band 1 and Rock Band 4, or the time between Rock Band 4 and now?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I got it.
I'm going to say relatively new on that one.
You remember the old terms.
Well, that's the new
That's
term.
the new term.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot what the terms mean now. Shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I would just say which ones.
Just say
Which
now
is
or
the shorter, the
them.
longer gap.
I think between Rock Band 4 and now.
Yeah, I'd say now.
What year is it? I'm trying to remember when Rock Band 1 came out. I'm gonna go with Rock Band 1 to Rock Band 4.
It's Rock Band 4 to now.
Okay.
Rock Band 4 came out 8 years ago. Rock Band 1 was only 7 years old when that came out. So Rock Band
Close,
was
though.
2007.
Yeah,
Rock Band 4 was
2007.
2014.
It's so funny this has come up. I have a strong urge to play Guitar Hero again. Like I was looking up used copies of Guitar Hero
Oh,
2.
gosh.
My sister and I were just talking about that yesterday because on our 5-hour car drive back from Sequoia, Franz Ferdinand came on that would take me out, and we were both just like thinking the colors, the buttons.
Wind Waker and Wind Waker HD.
Well, Wind Waker came out in 2001, and Wind Waker HD came out in 2013. So that would be a 12-year gap, which would. Wind Waker came out in. Wow, I'm wrong. Wind Waker came out in 2003. Sorry, so that would be a 10-year gap, and then 9-year gap from Wind Waker to now.
Yep.
Sorry, I said 2000.
Whatever he said.
I said 2001. I got the GameCube. I got
the
the
gap between
GameCube
them.
launch confused
Yeah.
with Wind Waker's release date for a brief moment. I was like, no, that's not right. Start over.
10 years
We
versus
forgive
9
you,
years.
Damiani.
Far Cry 4 versus Far Cry.
Far Cry 4 was 2015. So that's 7 years. I think Far Cry 1 was like 2004. So I'm going to say between Far Cry 1 and Far Cry 4.
Yeah, I
It's a
agree.
longer period
That
of time.
seems right.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Nice.
Yeah. Far Cry 4 was 2014. Far Cry
Okay.
was 2004, so 10 years versus 8 years.
Well, give us your badge and gun, Ben.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Portal 2
Oh dear.
and Metroid Prime.
Well, Metroid
Well,
Prime.
now they're
Well, Metroid Prime's 2002. So if anyone knows when Portal 2 came out,
Portal 2 was,
it was
2008.
That was what I was going to guess, too.
so then
So
it's
then
been
it would be-
longer between Portal 2 and now.
Or it was either 2008 or like 2010. Like it's around that time.
As long as it's more than.
Yeah, so I think it's between Portal 2 and now.
Yeah, I think so too.
It is between Portal 2 and now. Portal 2 was 2011.
Okay.
Okay.
Still.
Metroid Prime
Yeah.
was 2002.
Yeah, 9
That's
to
right.
11.
Imagine guys.
2011 was a hell of a year.
And I also think that was right at the time when the PSN went down. Because
Oh yeah.
for like a month.
Those days.
For a long time.
So simple.
Man, Gabe Newell being like, PS3's not that shitty. I was wrong. Here's Portal.
Half-Life 2 Episode 2 and Doom, the original Doom.
Wow.
The original Doom was
man, that's
93.
Yeah. It's been an eternity.
Half-Life
since
2
Half-Life.
Episode 2. Half-Life 2 was 2004. I think Episode 1 was maybe 2006, and then Episode 2 was 2007. So it's between it's 14 years, 1993 to 2007.
15.
So I think it's going to be, I think it's Half-Life 2 Episode 2 and now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got those dates. Nailed them.
Nice work.
Dang.
The Xbox Kinect and the N64 expansion pack.
Expansion pack summer '97 with Star Fox 64.
Ex-
Oh no!
Expansion pack.
Expansion pack, not
with
Rumble pack.
Sorry, expansion pack was with
Majora's Mask.
was it Donkey Kong or Majora's Mask was first?
It's-
Majora's was 2000,
they
they
both
were
used the
2000.
expansion pass. I don't know if Donkey Kong was, before Majora's Mask.
2000 and also Perfect Dark. So 2000
And also Perfect Dark.
2000 was expansion pack. Sorry.
What was
I don't
Kinect?
think Perfect Dark came with the expansion pass. though, did it?
No, only Donkey Kong did, and then other games either. Well, funny, too long didn't read, but like Donkey Kong required it apparently because there was like it was faster, easier to do that than to patch the game or something, or because they couldn't patch the game.
Like a
after the-
RAM leak or something
It was
like that.
something like
Yeah.
that was to make the release date need to come out anyway. Connect was what
2013.
No,
No.
I think it was like 2011, 2012.
What?
No?
'Cause I remember.
Connectimals was.
I remember being in the audience for the the presentation of Kinect, and like it was one of my first E3s. I think my first E3 was 2011.
I think the Kinect was either 2011 or 2010. I think 2011 sounds right to
It
me.
has to be close enough to Wii that they were accusing them of like them, and like when Sony did move to like they're just getting on the casual train. So it can't have been too far after 2006. Like 2011 seems like maybe the furthest it could have been. Like, but 2010 sounds more right. Right?
I swear it's like. Well, yeah, I think it was 2010. Oh fuck, I don't know. I think it's like right around
It's
there.
either 2010 or okay. I know for sure it's either 2010 or 2012. Wait, no.
Bail us out, Blood.
Okay.
Hold on. No, I got this. So,
But like
Expansion
2000, that
pack-
would have been yeah. 'Cause it'd be
expansion
pretty
pack was
close.
like 2000-ish.
Yeah, so that's like around 10, anywhere from like 9 to like 11 years. And even if it came out in 2011, that would be 11 years. So
I think so. There's like a 1 year difference maybe between these two time
We're getting
frames.
really close here, unless it was 99 for the expansion pack.
I'm gonna
so-
say I'm gonna say relatively old, but I think there's like a 1 year gap.
Okay, so it says they're the same.
Okay.
12 years and 12 years. They say expansion pack was 98 and Kinect was 2010.
98 does
But
not sound right. For the
98 does
expansion.
not sound right for the expansion
That-
pack. for
that does
me
not
either.
sound right at all.
So like, we need a fact check on that.
We deliberated that like it was a
looking.
question on who wants to be a millionaire.
Because 98 was
It says
Ocarina of Time.
98 on fandom.
Did it
But-
come out?
But was that the
Was that-
Japanese
was that the
release?
Japanese release?
Because like when was the Donkey
game?
Kong? Donkey Kong
Checking.
64 would have been the first game.
Donkey Kong 64 was not 1998.
Yeah, it was not.
I mean, yeah, like Ocarina of Time didn't require it.
Yeah,
Right.
and that was the
Oh.
end of '98.
That was the end of '98.
Donkey
ha-
Kong
what if-
64 was 99.
Yeah, I was gonna say end of '99.
I think
like,
'99
that's
was the year.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Unless there was like, 98 does not sound
2010
right.
was Connect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So my gut was right. I should have gone with 2010.
Duke Nukem Forever,
Duke Nukem Forever's 2012.
and the announcement of Duke Nukem Forever.
I think the announcement for Duke Nukem Forever was 98, if memory serves.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So
Yeah.
98 to 2012
Longer.
is 14. Yeah, so I think the announcement between Duke Nukem Forever and the actual release is longer than Duke Nukem Forever now.
You're right. Other than you're like a year off, the announcement
Is
was
it-
'97 and the release was 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty good though.
This is a pull. I don't know why these two came together.
Okay.
Braid and Super Mario RPG.
Oh, okay.
Braid was 2008.
And Super Mario RPG was 96 before N64.
Okay, so 96. So that's 20. So that's 26 years, right? And then 2008. So it's. No, wait, hold on. I'm confusing myself.
What year do you think the first one? So
Braid came out in 2008.
Braid. Yeah. It was the late 2000s.
Yeah.
So that'd be like potentially 12 years versus Braid to now. Braid to now is longer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Braid 14 years.
Yeah.
Mario RPG is 12 years.
Yeah.
Wait, when did Braid was 2008, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. You're right. It's just
You got the
12 years
dates right,
versus
yep.
14.
When did The Witness come out? 2013?
No, I think Witness was like 2015.
15 or 16?
2016. Yeah.
Yeah, 2016. January 2016.
It was a long time coming.
Yeah.
The Switch and the 3DS.
Okay. 2017 versus
2011.
2011.
Yeah, so it's 6 and 5. So it's longer between the 3DS and the Switch.
Yeah.
Yep. And then finally, because Ben is here,
Oh boy, Street Fighter.
the first episode of Frame Trap and the first episode of Invisible Walls.
Oh my god.
I don't know when the first episode of Invisible Walls was.
It was
I mean,
like
obviously the first episode of Frame Trap was 2016.
Very shortly after I was hired in 2008, or before I was hired in 2008. So,
So it'd be
Invisible Walls was
longer-
2008.
Yeah, so it'd be longer between. Well, no, wait.
'Cause
Yeah, it'd be
it's
longer
been-
between Invisible Walls and Frame Trap than Frame Trap and now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's only been 7.
2008 versus 2016. Nice.
Man, I was feeling
Okay.
good about myself for remembering all those Ben stories, and then now just
Yeah.
all my confidence in my memory is shot.
These
We did
guys
pretty good
are
in that one.
Yeah.
Impressive, yeah.
It's time for bets. This week's bet. There's not really a lot of games coming out next week, but this weekend, Anime Expo. Bandai Namco is going to have a summer showcase Friday, July 1st at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time, featuring at least, these are the ones that are on the cover image, Digimon Survive, One Piece Odyssey, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R. Which game will have the longest trailer, and how long will it be? And for clarity, Mitch is playing for the Sea Lions today. Mitch.
I said One Piece at 2:45.
Damiani.
I said Digimon at 1 minute 25 seconds.
Those are gonna be some short trailers.
Ben.
I said One Piece, 5 minutes 40 seconds.
5:40. Isla.
I said One Piece as well. 4 minutes, 12 seconds.
Woo, we're getting tight. Because I also went One Piece. 4:27.
Oh, no.
So that's gonna be fun. That'll be fun to go back and see what happened.
JoJo gets like a 2-second trailer.
It's honestly, it's probably going to be a single character. They're going to show 3 special moves, and then
Oh, nobody voted for JoJo, so that will be really funny if
Yeah.
we do not get any points
That would be
Right.
so good.
across the board next week. Last week's bet. We finally got Cuphead, the delicious last course, this week. We went to the beginning of the game. We're going to go to the first boss. There isn't really a first. You're in a hub, and then you can go south or you can go north. So we flipped a coin, and then we let go of the controller to see how long our character would last before they died. Last week, Brad bet they would last 15 seconds. Damiani bet 13 seconds. Isla bet 12 seconds. And I bet 37 seconds. Mitch, do you have a guess on this?
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Ben, any guess?
10 is a good guess. I'm gonna say 15 seconds.
It ended up being 20.5 seconds.
Which boss was it?
This was the anthill boss.
Okay,
the bug boss.
I thought you would go with the gnome boss.
Yeah, well, we had to pick.
Yeah.
So we ended up going to the south boss.
Gnome boss would have been about 10 seconds.
Yeah, there were just points where like nothing was going at the character. But yeah, so Brad won that bet, which means that Ben will get all the rights and responsibilities, which is perfect because he would have gotten them anyways. That would have just taken them away from the winner. Bringing the scores to Massive Chubbs, Splish, and Melodorous
You
Sea
didn't
Lion.
say the number.
Oh, 12.
I was like, you just did the noise.
12 points. We have 12 points.
Okay.
And Melodorous Sea Lions, 11. I'm getting loopy. Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. Patreon is how we exist. We are supported by our viewers and listeners and fans. So thank you to everyone who has supported us over the years. You can go over there and check out some different exclusives and benefits that we have. But we need your support to keep this thing running. So thank you everyone there. For $1, you get this podcast ad-free. And with 2 bonus love and respect questions. And for $5, you get early access, you get some exclusive shows, and you get to submit to Love and Respect and Let's Play a Game. And some of our highest patrons get shout-outs every week. And this month's shout-outs are Javawabs, Elthanis, Greg, The Dark Knight Kettering, Caleb, Togi Crawford, Nick, and Anna Croft. Shout out.
Shout out.
Mitch didn't know.
Shout out.
No.
Tell
Do it
them about
again.
this.
But yeah, shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Sorry.
I thought that was only a frame trap thing.
Nope. Slightly different on Flame Trap. Blah, blah, blah.
All right. Well, the bad moment has come. The end of the podcast has come. It's time to wish farewell to Ben.
Yeah.
Ben. Yeah. It's been amazing having you around. You kind of got a preview because it's like when you're talking about writing and like just that rapport we have as writers and wanting to do our best and put out the best things out there. And then you've been such a thoughtful writer. You've challenged, I think, everybody on this team to think differently about how they talk about games and write about games and really get to the core of why something is good or bad and get to those details and those examples and to really just go beyond listing bullet points and, good graphics, bad combat, bad frame rate, whatever. It's like, no, you really get into a different, more analytical space. And you've been just such an amazing host. You've really pulled those kinds of things out of us anytime that we've talked about games, whether it be on Frame Trap or an individual preview or whatever. And so, you were definitely going to be missed. Anyone else?
I was just gonna say, to take it outside of the EZA, circle. Like, I think you've really made an impact on this industry with the quality of your reviews. I think you're an inspiration to people who want to do this because of the fact that you are so detail-oriented. You are such a good writer, such a good personality, and just a fun person to be around. Like I said, talking to you about video games the first time we met. I've never had that experience of talking to someone so deeply about video games, and it's such a rare quality in the amount that you have it. I think you should be, if this is your exit from the game industry, I think you should be proud of what you've accomplished and the trail that you've blazed.
Wow, thank you.
I don't think I've ever seen someone as passionate about video games. I've seen a lot of passionate people about video games as you've been, and you're just pure joy and the pleasure you got from every new game that you would see. And it was it's hard to put into words because I never saw someone who just wanted to play everything. When so many people that love games want to play everything, but you literally would try and play everything, and and you somehow almost always managed to pull it off. And it was just insane how you just wanted more, because I felt like any normal human being would have long ago been okay, I played enough games, but man, that's something special to have, that you were able to just keep up that passion for so long. It's very unique and rare. And it was really a privilege to see that in action, because in an industry where I feel like a lot of people, after they've been in it for too long, just get way too jaded or feel like they've kind of checked out. It really, you were kind of the antithesis of that for as long as you were in there. And it was nice to see that. And I think whatever you do next, it sounds like you have a lot of other passions, and it sounds like you have a new thing you want to explore. And I'm pretty excited to see, because I feel like while this potentially could be the last we hear of you in gaming stuff, I feel like it's not the last we're going to hear of Ben Moore, for sure, or whenever it comes out, whether that's you writing for another show, like a TV show, a book, or whatever, man. Writing maybe it's writing a game. I'm not going to be shocked at that, because I think you've talked to us, that's what you've discovered, and it's really exciting to see where you go next.
Thank you. And upon reflection, I feel like I went too hard on the Final Fantasy guy. It was not against you personally. I'm sure you're wonderful. It just made me passionate. It was just a passionate response, but nothing personal there. But no, I want to say, I will probably never work with a pool of people that are this talented, truly talented, and excitable ever again. I think the perfect example of what I'm trying to articulate is during the group stream where we went an hour over, and those 3 hours were just full of excitement and passion and love from everyone there. And that's what Easy Allies is. And that's definitely what I'm going to miss, because while I definitely have a huge love and passion for video games. It would be nothing if I didn't have these people to bounce off of, right? And I think every ally brings something different to the table, and that's what makes Easy Allies special, is that there is this shared burning fire, right? But there's different things that are being put into that fire, different kindling, right? And it turns into this super bizarre, irreplaceable thing. And so I'm amazed that I got to do this job, A, at all, but B, I think way beyond that, way beyond the games. The games are cool, but it's the fact that I got to work with these people. You know, I'll never, ever, ever have anything but like the utmost respect and love for all of you, because the fact that like we were able to survive a failing company and be stronger than ever, I think really speaks volumes.
And Ben, do you want to promote any videos? And you also get if that was not your final word, you could say something else, and then you can sign off.
I had an idea. I worry that this will be taken the wrong way. Can I promote a non-Easy Allies thing?
Sure.
Okay. Just because I think we're in an emotional moment. There's a Tony Hawk documentary on HBO Max that's really, really, really good and like will make you tear up and is really everything that we're talking about right here, passion and finding that life and making it work and the people that you meet. I think it has all of that stuff. So that's what I would like to promote. I'm sorry.
What's it called?
I've seen it. I don't remember the name. I just know it as I just know it as the Tony Hawk documentary. It does have a title. I do not remember the title.
Until the wheels fall off?
That's it.
There it
That
is.
sounds right.
Oh,
That
there
sounds
it is.
right.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't get to do one, and it feels weird to do
Oh,
one after.
do it.
After
Do
Ben.
it.
After the Tony
We
Hawk
haven't signed off
documentary,
yet.
shout out.
Haven't signed off yet.
But Ben, it's I've said this before, and I'll just be brief. But like, I honestly think, like those guys said, like one of the best in the biz at writing and talking about games, and I'll always just think about Tom Waits and Dust Storms and X-Files and beers. Man, it was so much fun.
Oh, that was a blast.
Anyway, I know whatever you do next, you're gonna crush it. So whether it's writing a novel or being a dad or whatever, you're gonna be great. So have fun while you're doing it.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, it feels hard to follow because what you said was so good. And Tony Hawk, I mean, you can't.
And
follow
Tony Hawk, right.
Tony Hawk.
You can't follow
Yeah.
Tony Hawk.
But yeah, I think rather than end with my usual trademark, I just love and respect.
So, to start off, the bet was to go to the first boss and let go of the controller. You can actually get to two bosses at the same time. So you gotta flip for north or south. So I guess the Easy Allies side will be the north, and then the Werehog side will be the south. Werehog, south.
Okay.
All right.
Did you start the timer? Oh no, that's
No, we
when
gotta
you
start when it
get
actually
in the
starts,
battle.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. And then regular.
So now you're just letting go.
Okay. There's probably like 3 seconds of extra there. So yeah, so 2356. We'll take off the 3, and so that'll
Yeah.
be 2056.
Cool.
Wait a minute, can I not get through here?